Chapter 805, Sixth Prince. Chapter 805, Sixth Prince. Proofreader, Papatonks. Giving the youth a long look, Zhuofan grumbled and scratched his head. Have we met? Why can't I remember? Sir Zhua, you never met me but I have. Shaking from excitement, the youth came next to Zhuofan and looked at him with stars in his eyes. Zhuofan was put off. And who are you supposed to be? When did you see me? At the Double Dragon gathering, Sir Zhua. Recalling those glorious fights, the youth trembled, his voice shaky. I was Chuanrong Empire's representative and witnessed Sir's punch erasing all of Beast Taming Sect's team and your rise to fame. From a lower 3 sect disciple, to the best disciple in Western lands. I was moved to tears. Startled, Zhuofan finally reacted. So the kid saw me fight. No wonder I never noticed him. With so many people around, it would have been strange if he had. Though he finds this guy's choice of words peculiar, kid, you're the 6th prince of Chuanrong Empire. Yep. The prince was so excited just by the fact Zhuofan talked to him like it was his honor or something. That would make Beast Taming Sect your guardian sect, so why would you be so thrilled to see me pulverizing them? Zhuofan was quite curious while the prince wrote it off. Them? They're nothing more than our puppet masters. Their heinous disciples got used to doing anything they wanted, with no one standing up to them. That's why they looked like that at Double Dragon Gathering. They have nothing to do with us. In fact, Sir Zhua's punch truly helped us vent. Oh, no problem, though you shouldn't call them heinous, since those guys behind you aren't any better. Zhuofan nodded. The prince chuckled, totally accepting the blame. Sir Zhua's lesson is true. I have indeed neglected my men's conduct. What does it have to do with me if you care or not? Zhuofan rolled his eyes. The 6th prince did not mind at all, taking all his words at face value. Yep, Sir Zhua is a man of ambition, so why would you care about little old me's faults? But since Sir mentioned it, I'll be sure to rectify it. The 6th prince turned around and spoke harshly at the 4 elders. Venerable Jean, tell everyone they are forbidden from using their power on the people, or their heads will roll. How can we be seen the same way as those rotten bastards from Beast Taming Sect? How will Sir Zhua see us then? Yes, sir. Jean Buhuan bowed and then sighed at Zhuofan. To be honest, 6th prince was a whimsical guy who was only out to have fun, ignoring everything else. Chuanrong Emperor tried teaching some sense to him, but he just wouldn't listen. Yet now, a short word from Zhuofan got him on the straight and narrow. This is the power of an idol. Zhuofan felt helpless too. What's it got to do with me? Sir Zhua, I've been hearing rumors that you've been killed. I've been offering bitter prayers and tears for your safe passing. You can ask them if you don't believe me. True. 6th prince looked excitedly at Zhuofan, then turned to his elders to echo him. They nodded their heads and attested to his conduct. Our prince is your biggest fan. Though what is Sir doing here all of a sudden? Are the rumors fake? 6th prince asked. Grinning, Zhuofan mocked as his eyes took on a savage glint. They'll have another thing coming if they think I'll just drop dead. Cool. 6th prince squealed in adoration at Zhuofan's inadvertent posing. Then he turned to his elders. See that? This is Sir Zhua, the best in Double Dragon Gathering and my idol. Isn't he awesome? What? The 4 bobbed their heads with a bright smile. Yes, cool, very cool. Though the 4's hearts weren't that much into it. As the kid's men, they had to cater to his whims and lower themselves by idolizing his idol. Even Zhuofan was of the same opinion, feeling put off by this crazed fan. Though he was about to pick a fight despite the other backing down, the 6th prince's adoration deflated his anger. How could he when the kid was worshipping the ground he walked on? I better get out of here fast. 6th prince saw him go and rushed to block him. Sir Zhua, where are you going? You're finally in Chuanrong, so how can you go without me being your host? That's fine. I couldn't find anything here I need, so I'll be going. Zhuofan chuckled and walked on. 6th prince's sparkling eyes rolled about in thought, then he said, Sir Zhua, what are you looking for? I know this place the best, so let me help. You? Zhuofan raised an eyebrow, sizing him up. Of course, the Whirlwind Tunnel, with how weird it is, has a high chance of being taken by some really rich and powerful people. How can a nobody know about it? This kid is the 6th prince of Chuanrong of illustrious pedigree, and can hear many interesting tidbits. Zhuofan's eyes lit up. Great, then tell me, are there any spectacular places around here, or any harsh and deadly ones? Spectacular? The prince paused, then clapped. Have you come to enjoy our wonderful lands? In a way. Fan strained to agree. Are there any particular landscapes about? Sixth Prince beamed, you came to the right man. We have barren lands but don't lack in some good views either. My new mansion just got built around a wonder like no other. You might even say it's heaven on earth. I dare say you'll never see anything like it in the whole 5 lands. Really? Fan grinned. Sixth Prince nodded in pride. Of course, the mighty are bound to steal it from me if they knew of it. Imperial Father saw it and wanted to build a summer palace, but I fought him against it and took it from him. That marvel is mine and mine alone. Imperial Father will have to ask me if he wants a peek, haha. Sir Juan, now that you're here, I'll hold a feast at once. Let us enjoy the beauty together with wine in hand. That's such a waste. Let's just go right now. Fan was overjoyed and couldn't wait to get there. Such a godsend, coming right when he was at his lowest. Sixth Prince nodded, leading the way with a bright smile. It was his pride and joy to do anything for Fan. Jean Buhuan came before the Sixth Prince before they could go. Prince, please wait. You had a fight with Elder Shi over a girl and His Majesty asked you to make amends. I get that you did not want to receive him at your home, so you came here instead. But if you leave, won't you stand Elder Shi up? We can't have him blow up in anger. Why do I have to apologize to that snake? Humph, not happening. Sixth Prince was stubborn. I saw that girl first and that snake came to take her. He even killed all my men. Now Imperial Father wants me to apologize? Whatever for. A has-been elder of beast-taming sect is nothing. All he knows is to come to Chuanrong Imperial capital and be vile. Humph, the only reason I set a feast is because you cowards made me. Seeing the prince's attitude, Jean Buhuan shook his head. Prince, it's just some jealousy over a girl. And those guards weren't much worth either. An Elder Shi is an ethereal stage expert that not even His Majesty can mess with. If not for beast-taming sect holding him back, he'd be killing us as well. You have to apologize and settle his anger. You also said they lost power in the beast-taming sect and it's nothing big yet. So let's make it stay like that. No and no. Sixth Prince pointed at Fan in his temper. Sir Zhua fears nothing, winning Double Dragon gathering by himself. I will follow his example and won't fear that snake. Sir Zhua, let's go to the mansion for a drink. Let these old fools attend to that damn snake. Fan watched the situation go out of hand and did not mind urging the prince to leave. He did not care about offending some ethereal stage expert that one day might come to take the prince's life. Jean Buhuan saw through his intention and bowed. Sir Zhua, Sixth Prince has always worshipped you. The news of your death had made him cry for 3 days. All of it is true. Have mercy and don't push Master into the fire. Convince him to make amends with Elder Shi. As for the marvel, you'll be seeing it shortly after. Or I would be taking Sir while Master attends to the guest. Chapter 806, Fuming Elder Shi. Chapter 806, Fuming Elder Shi. Proofreader, Papatonks. Fan pondered and nodded. All in all, the kid is my fan. While I have no intention of getting dragged into his problem, that doesn't mean I should make his situation worse. The old man has a good idea. Let the master deal with him and someone else will just take me there. Since he was after the whirlwind tunnel, what difference did it make on who took him there? While he might agree the prince was totally against it, not happening. Sir Zhua is my honored guest. I have to do my utmost in fulfilling all of Sir Zhua's requests. As for that damn snake, let him rot for all I care. Sixth Prince stormed out in anger. Fan shrugged and followed. But just then Jean Buhuan rushed next to him and spoke. Sir Zhua, I've long since heard of the prince praising you, but he's also known to boast a lot, especially about the people he likes to no end. That's why I do not believe anything he said about you. You heard it yourself, an ethereal stage expert. If angered, he'd go to His Majesty and it would not end with his son taking the fall, but you becoming the scapegoat. For the Sixth Prince and for your safety, I urge you to convince him to placate Elder Shi and not let his temper flare out. True, a crazed fan like the Sixth Prince sure has it in him to do that. Fan grinned. Only this one time your master hasn't been boasting. A mere ethereal stage expert is nothing to me. If the prince truly helps me in finding what I seek, I don't see why I can't help you all skin this snake to spare you the trouble, ha. Fan walked out after the Sixth Prince, leaving Jean Buhuan dumbstruck. Is he nuts? An 8th layer radiant stage cultivator wants to fight an ethereal stage expert? No wonder the Sixth Prince became so obnoxious of late. What good is copying an idol like this? Closing his eyes, Jean Buhuan felt pain in his heart. Elder Jean, the Sixth Prince is gone. What do we do when Elder Shi comes? The white elder asked tensely. Shaking his head, Elder Jean sighed, Master is too stubborn and we can only help him. I just hope Elder Shi will accept it. He shouldn't want to blow things out of proportion either, making His Majesty send for beast-taming sect to take him away. Elder Jean turned towards the dumbstruck crowd in the restaurant. What are you standing around for? Didn't you hear our shout? We booked this place. Now scram. Right? They all bobbed their heads and ran like the wind, finally getting their pardon. They were about to lose their lives under Zhuo Fan's demonic threat, shaking like leaves in fear. Now that they could leave, they were overjoyed they escaped with their lives. Furthermore, the people vowed never to set foot in this accursed restaurant again. The head of the restaurant would have cried if he knew his business had collapsed. Clean this place up and prepare the finest meals and drinks. We're holding a feast. Jean Buhuan eyed the messed up place and shouted. The head of the place and the waiter went to work. In just 15 minutes the restaurant looked brand new. Slow steps were heard and a youth with sharp eyes approached the locale. Looking it over, his mood sank. When you fall, all want to kick you. I might have made a mistake that one time and the sect threw me out, but I'm still an ethereal stage expert, damn it. The emperor should be welcoming me. Yet now, a stinking brat is treating me in this wretched shack? Humph, where's the apology in that? Elder Shi, we've been waiting for you. Jean Buhuan shouted as he led his 3 men outside the restaurant to bow in welcome. Elder Shi eyed him coldly. What's this supposed to mean? Where's your lord? That brat isn't welcoming me? Well, please don't be upset, Elder Shi. Wiping his sweaty brow, Jean Buhuan hurriedly apologized. Prince was feeling unwell and could not come, so he had us. Enough. Boom. Elder Shi flicked his sleeve and a powerful gale swept the four. They left a trail of blood as they flew. Elder Shi gnashed his teeth. You four better get this straight. The only reason I tolerated some punk's affront and agreed to this apology feast is all because of Chuanrong Emperor. But since he doesn't care, he forced my hand. Whoosh! Elder Shi shot straight into the air. Jean Buhuan's group cried out, he's going for the 6th prince's mansion. The prince is in danger. Venerable Jean, lighten up. Isn't the prince taking Zhuo Fan to his other mansion? He's not home right now. Yeah, and besides we still got time to report. We can't delay or the prince might die. Jean Buhuan bobbed his head, straightened his wounded body and flew away with blood dripping from him. The other 3 bore through the pain and followed closely. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan and the 6th prince arrived at a remote mountain, at a place among a forest where a mansion was perfectly blended with the surroundings. Its guards were profound heaven experts. The prince bowed to Zhuo Fan before the door and smiled. Sir Zhuo, after you. Zhuo Fan nodded and strolled right in. 6th prince skipped after him like a good servant, and was happy for it. The guards were dumbstruck. The rash, impulsive, outrageous 6th prince of theirs knew how to be polite. Even when seeing the emperor, this kid would never show any respect. Being the youngest, His Majesty doted on him, which made him grow up without any restraints. The fact that he gave up and let his son have this spot for his mansion showed just how much he cared. But now... Hey, who's he? Why's the prince acting like that? Don't know. Maybe the father-in-law or brother-in-law? Why else would he be more respectful than when seeing his father? Oh, so the prince finally met his other half. It's good that he stopped visiting brothels, haha. The guards whispered while the 6th prince led Zhuo Fan to a large building. Zhuo Fan shot the prince a puzzled look. Grinning, the prince pointed at it. Sir Zhuo, the magnificence of the land can only be enjoyed in the truest sense from atop this building. Oh really? Zhuo Fan frowned, though not bothered that much. Since the wind tunnel couldn't be just seen, might as well just play the guest. And so, the prince took Zhuo Fan 18 stories high, to an elegant room. The prince then walked to the window and opened it, letting in the fresh breeze of humid mountain air. Beyond the window was a 300-meter waterfall. Its immense drop felt like it was descending from the heavens above. Zhuo Fan was stunned, turning his stiff face around. 6th prince, is this the view you were talking about? Yes, isn't it marvelous? The prince spoke with pride. Sir Zhuo, you know as well how poor the land in Chuanrong is. Such a waterfall is a rarity. That's why I had an array place to hide it and only enjoyed from this place. Even Imperial Father can only come once a month to appreciate this wonder while I can come every day, ha. Sir Zhuo, this view is great, my ass. Zhuo Fan snapped as he rained curses. The waterfall is nice and that's it. There's plenty more like it in Tianyu. You think I wasted my time coming here for this thing? I wanted a place with strange occurrences, out of this world even. Something like getting in but can't get out, or a spot where meditating a day equals 10 years. The sixth prince looked like a hurt puppy with his lowered head. But didn't you say you came to see Chuanrong's scenery? This is the best we could find. It's fine, I was wrong here for not being clear. It seems Chuanrong doesn't have what I seek. I'm leaving. Zhuo Fan sighed and turned away. The sixth prince rushed to stop him. Wait, Sir Zhuo. You're leaving so soon? At least stay for a few days. No thanks. It seems the sketch is useless. I'll go look someplace else. Hold on. The prince cried. You said you wanted to see strange places. Well, Big Brother has such a place. I'll take you there. Your brother? Yes, my elder brother, Chuanrong's crown prince. Sixth prince nodded, his eyes shining with hope. Chapter 807, Suicidal. Chapter 807, Suicidal. Proofreader, Papatonks. Zhuo Fan nodded after a pause. All right, let's go to your brother. Sixth prince perked up, skipping over to Zhuo Fan and about to lead him like an overexcited child. Zhuo Fan chuckled. He really is my greatest fan. Is he that happy to be around me? Sixth prince, run. Elder, she's coming. A shout came from the window and the two saw Jin Buhuan's group covered in blood and collapsing from their flight, spitting blood again. Sixth prince helped them up. What happened, Venerable Jin? Why are you all like this? Cough, run, prince. Elder, she went on a killing spree to your mansion. We used this chance to warn you. You have to get to the imperial palace. With his majesty around, maybe his anger can be subdued. That bastard did this to you? His brow shaking, sixth prince hissed, absurd. Even for a beast-taming sect elder, this is too much. Those three have been thrown out of the sect for their mistakes and now they're taking it out on the common folk. Beast-taming sect did cast them out, but they're still its elders, they still have power. The sect will cover for them as long as nothing serious happens. Jin Buhuan shook his head and sighed. Ignoring the fact they were thrown out, they're still in the ethereal stage. Who in the empire would fight them? Prince, we all admire your principles, but I'll have to step out of line here. You're too naive. There are some things, some men that you can't mess with. Sixth prince's brow quivered as he cursed. Those damn geezers, making the entire imperial capital restless, and now they even have the nerve to come after me. Won't that mean they have no restraint against anyone else? How can we rule the Chuanrong Empire in this state? No, I have to plead that imperial father to remove those three bastards. It's no use. Of course his majesty would want that as well, but no one is strong enough. Jin Buhuan was filled with pain. Those three geezers got kicked out of beast-taming sect and now are running amok. Sixth prince shook in anger, but then he suddenly went still and peeked at Zhuo Fan. In the end he spoke his mind. Sir Zhuo, what do you think I should do? If I weren't here, your best bet would be hiding in the imperial palace. And you old coots, you were better off sending someone to give us a message while going to imperial palace to seek help instead. Jin Buhuan jerked and facepalmed in regret. Why didn't I think of that? Right, I should have sent someone to report to his majesty. What am I to do since you're here then? Ignoring Zhuo Fan's proposal, sixth prince wanted to know his stance, whether he'd help. Zhuo Fan spoke calmly, nothing at all. As long? What? Sixth prince asked in hope. With an evil grin, Zhuo Fan replied, as long as you take me to the strange place of crown prince, you can then do like I suggested, hide in the imperial palace. What? The prince's face twitched. He knew Zhuo Fan's power, yet the man refused him in the end. Humph, sixth prince's life is at an end and you still want to go to crown prince? Jin Buhuan growled. Sixth prince treated you like a guest and this ridiculous idea is your reply? I knew you wouldn't want to get involved as you're not in the ethereal stage, but at least your plan is sound. Zhuo Fan admitted, then you go hide in the imperial palace while I go see crown prince alone. The great crown prince's manor should be an easy find. Zhuo Fan shot to the skies. Wait, Sir Zhuo. Let me take you. Sixth prince rushed after him. Jin Buhuan shook his head and followed as well, about to blow a gasket. Prince, let him go. Your safety's more important. I can't let death scare me from living. The great Sir Zhuo I admire is now here, so how can I not go hang out with him? The prince glared and rushed on. Sir Zhuo, wait for me. They quickly left the building and went away. Whoosh. Just then a savage cackle resounded. Ha, brat, so this is where you are. You offended me and against my better judgment, I decided to hear your father out and letting you apologize. But you actually stood me up. Humph, now even if the Emperor pleaded for you, it still won't save you. Damn, Elder, she caught up. Why so soon? Jean Buhuan rushed to protect the prince. The ethereal stage expert floated down, looking at the four elders with a twisted smile, mere radiant stage cultivators. Don't you know the fear of ethereal stage experts? Sixth Prince, today is the day you ugh. Elder, she looked at the prince's grave face, but then he paused. His face twisted like he saw his worst enemy, you. Elder, she stared at Zhuofan next to the prince. Zhuofan paused, looking around, but didn't see anyone. Stop faking. I'm talking to you. Elder, she clenched his fists, his bloodshot eyes squinting at Zhuofan as his rage exploded. 8 years have gone and now I finally get to meet you again. Scratching his head, Zhuofan asked, stumped, we know each other? No? Ah, not just that. If it weren't for you, bastard, I would have never been thrown out of the sect and lived miserably like this. Howling in sadness, Elder Shi's eyes reflected only hatred. I had nightmares more nights than I could count about that white hair and those eyes. I swore to never forget the pain you brought me. Zhuofan was perplexed. What's your beef with me? Why can't I remember you? Who are you supposed to be anyway? Haha, you're so forgetful, I see, though it's natural since I've changed my looks. Snickering, Elder Shi said, Brat, you still remember the war 8 years ago in Tianyu. You ruined my body. 8 years, I bore that shame with me for 8 damn years. With my body ruined, even getting a new one, my cultivation had stagnated. When I could have managed to reach the 5th layer of ethereal stage, but now the 2nd layer is all this body can allow. But this wasn't the reason for sect leaders' banishment. It's all due to losing that war and letting the demon scheming sect grab hold of proof of our involvement. Then the other 2 sects forced our sect to pay up in spirit stones, making us the criminal. Henceforth my path was ruined, abandoned by the sect as well. All of this is your fault. You ruined my life. Brat, now that we met, I'll end you and 6th Prince, getting rid of all the rancor. Ignoring the cawing, Zhuofan squinted in thought, then exclaimed, oh. So that obscene snake shed his skin. Almost didn't recognize you there. Sir Zhua, it seems you're involved now. You can't stand aside as it is. 6th Prince was overjoyed. The 4 elders were startled. What use would he have if he joins? We're all in the radiant stage anyway, unable to face an ethereal stage expert. Only the prince had complete confidence in Zhuofan. Scratching his nose, Zhuofan nodded. Yeah, I can't go around going easy on my enemies now, can I? Since I already suffered for it once. Zhuofan's eyes flashed with coldness and bloodthirst. Elder Shi shook for some reason, feeling like a beast had its eyes on him and sending a deep-seated fear in his bones. But then he shook his head to shake it off. There's no way. He's just a radiant stage punk. How can he threaten me? Boom. Before he could make sense of it all, an explosion resounded. A force like no other shot through Elder Shi, the large building behind him, and then stopped in the large waterfall where it went off. A tornado of dust engulfed the sky, mixing with the water turned into mist, roaring as it grew, linking heaven and earth. When the dust finally settled, what reflected in everyone's eyes was utter destruction. The 18-story high building was gone, so was the 300-tall waterfall. But what was more important was that Elder Shi was nowhere in sight. Everywhere the people looked, they were welcomed with a flat and barren land. Zhuofan lowered his fist, his eyes cold, annoying. SSS. Gasping, Jean Buhuan and everyone else were lost for words. Cool. 6th Prince was the first to recover and whooped in joy. Chapter 808, Outstanding Crown Prince. Chapter 808, Outstanding Crown Prince. Proofreader, Papatonks. Lowering his mighty right hand, Zhuofan looked like he had done a trifle thing. He patted the 6th Prince's shoulder. Now hurry along and take me to the Crown Prince. I hope I'll find what I seek there. Sure thing. After a brief pause of shock, the prince shouted in excitement as he went first. Jean Buhuan and his 3 men were shell-shocked just watching the 2 go with a dull look. Holy hell. He really is as strong as 6th Prince said. For once he didn't boast. He's way stronger than he lets on, killing an ethereal stage expert in 1 punch even. Thank God we didn't fight him before. We'd have been killed as well. The 4 shivered when they recalled the scene at the restaurant. Zhuofan and the prince were a way off when a rumble echoed out and the earth shook. A huge image of a python came out of the ground, hissing, Damn punk, you ruined my body again. I'm going to eat you alive. It's Elder Shi's soul. Jean Buhuan cried out, In the radiant stage, the body might be strong but the soul isn't up to an ethereal stage expert's level. We're done for. Jean Buhuan panicked and elder she snickered, yes brat, you ambushed me again and ruined my body, but there's no way a radiant stage like you can deal with my soul. Whoosh. He didn't finish as a scarlet dragon claw came out of Zhuo Fan and gripped the squirming oversized garden snake. He choked on his words with those sharp eyes reflecting fear like no other. This is a soul? How? He's only in the radiant stage. Humph, this is what you get for being stupid. You could have just floated away as your soul, but no, you had to be suicidal. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed and the scarlet dragon claw squeezed. The oversized snake wailed one last time as it was reduced to motes of spiritual energy scattered around. The dragon claw went back to Zhuo Fan and resumed following Sixth Prince like nothing happened. Jean Buhuan's face twitched with a dumb look. As they watched Zhuo Fan going about his way, they all had the same shocked look and idea. Since when can a radiant stage cultivator form his soul? A true freak. Meanwhile, a man and a woman were sitting in a pavilion next to a graceful lake. The man wore a crown and was presentable, stacked in jewelry. Though his elegance was ruined by his sinister smile, especially when aimed at the woman next to him. As for the woman, she was a beaut, bright eyes, sculpted eyebrows. Alas, the image was marred somewhat by her constant frown. Around them were singing and dancing girls. But as the obscene music and suggestive dancing of the women in their sheer attire continued, Liener, the daughter of Chuanrong's high commander, bit her lip. The man smirked, one hand groping around a woman's waist, opening his mouth and letting her tender finger feed him fruits. Sometimes it wasn't just the fingers. The man let out an obnoxious laughter now and then, filled with lust. Liener was sickened by it but helpless against it. Liener gathered all her bravery to ask, Crown Prince, would it be possible to release my brother? Him? The man raised an eyebrow. In front of the whole nation, he punched me. How could I just let him go after his blatant disregard for authority? Clenching her fists, Liener bit her lip harder. Brother was wrong in striking your highness, but he was doing it to protect me. It was all my fault. I hope your highness would consider Tuoba family's wholehearted service to Chuanrong and release my brother at once. Liener will never forget your highness's gesture. Oh, never you say? Crown Prince sized her fine figure up and broke out in a lustful grin. I don't need that long, just attending to me for the rest of your life would do. Your highness. Liener cried out and jerked away at his obscene gaze on her. Then she trembled as she spoke, please mind yourself, your highness. Throwing the beauty in his arms away, the Crown Prince became bored, speaking coldly, Tauba Liener, don't you play coy with me. Be grateful I have the time to waste on you. Tauba has been a great family for a long time, but ever since your defeat 8 years ago, costing the Empire heavily, you're now criminals. Imperial Father did not execute the old Tuoba Taizhan and only demoted him to captain of the guards. This is already gratitude enough for all his service. All of this was possible because I pleaded your case. What do you think would have happened if I hadn't? You'd be stripped of everything and goddamned hanged. Liener bit her lip with a lowered head. And what do? Humph. Crown Prince went on with his tirade, damn ingrates, I even asked for your hand yet that old Tauba Coot actually refused my kind gesture. I thought his mind woke up when he came to visit me in person afterward, but he only came to me for help. That elder she had set his eyes on you ever since the war in Tianyu. His soul was redeemed by the sect so that geezer now wants to use my name to curb elder she's tendencies. As my future concubine, if a sect cast out touched you, even an ethereal stage expert, he'd still pay for it. Shaking all over, Liener lowered her head in silence. The Crown Prince walked before her with a hard face. I accepted becoming your shield, but as long as you're mine. That old coot won't ever touch you then. But you just don't know when to quit. Saying you want to be with me only to drag out the wedding. This has been going for 8 years already. Are you taking me for a fool you use for your own amusement? Forgive me, your highness. Jerking, Liener faltered with teary eyes. Looking at her pretty face with a dead look, the Crown Prince caressed her soft cheek. As she shivered, his eyes shone with desire, shouting, I don't need your apology, I want you. The Crown Prince threw himself at her and hugged her, wanting to take her by force. No, your highness. Liener struggled and wailed. In the end she had to use her yuan qi to throw him off. He broke 4 stone pillars and wailed in pain. The Crown Prince, in his ostentatious attire, a pill-grown peak profound heaven expert, had just been thrown on the ground by a girl in the 8th layer. His never-ending lust had sapped his body of all the power that would make his cultivation high. He was the very opposite of Zhuofan. While Zhuofan's strength overshadowed his cultivation, Crown Prince's was nothing but an empty shell, worse than that of some rich boy. Getting a grip on his aching body to stand up straight, Crown Prince was enraged. "Why you? Your Highness, it wasn't on purpose." Lianer towered on the verge of tears. Panting like an animal, the Crown Prince snarled, "You have the glory of becoming my concubine, far above those dissolute women. But over these 8 years, despite not getting married, I not once got to touch you. When I tried to get closer, your brother punched me, and today you do this. You're my concubine, yet I'm forced to go to someone else? And no, your Highness. Please listen. Enough." The Crown Prince shouted in anger, "Guards, bring that Tuoba Lufeng." "Yes, sir." At his order, a few men left to carry it. Soon they had a tied and familiar man brought over. He looked roughed up, judging by the battered face, though his features were still clear enough to see he was Tuoba Lufeng, Commander Tuoba Tieshan's sole son. Only now the young commander was wretched, having lost his heroic heir years back. Chapter 809, Take Her and Run. Chapter 809, Take Her and Run. Proofreader, Papatonks. Brother? Lianer saw her brother having experienced torture under the Crown Prince, and her heart was in pain, with tears in her eyes. Tuoba Lufeng cried out, "Sister, what are you doing here? Run." "Humph, why else would she be here if not to plead for you?" The Crown Prince grinned. "Laying your hands on a member of the imperial family is punishable by death. No matter who pleads for you in court, I have the final say if you get to be released. I can even have the Tuoba family removed from the Chuanrong Empire." "Haha, Tuoba Lufeng, everyone says you're a brilliant warrior, a wise young commander, so why were you so impulsive to hit me? That punch has shattered the future of your entire family." Tuoba Lufeng shook and spat. "Crown Prince, I had no intention of doing anything, but you went too far when you tried to force yourself on my sister." "Force? She's my concubine to begin with. What business does her brother have in this?" The Crown Prince cut him off and turned to the girl with a twisted smile. "Lianer, you're my concubine. Fulfill your duty and I'll forget about this, letting this brother-in-law keep his life. When I ascend the throne, the Tauba family will rise again to its former glory. Refuse and well." The Crown Prince threatened, "It won't be just your brother's life on the line. Your father and your family's 8 servants will follow him to his grave. I vow there won't remain even a Tauba dog alive after I'm through with you." Shuddering, Lianer paled from dread. Tuoba Lufeng cursed in hatred, "Crown Prince, take it out on me if you're a man. Leave my family out of this. Lianer, don't listen to his twisted words. Your life will be ruined if you agree. Father and I will never agree to marry this." "That's enough, brother." Lianer shouted, looking frail as she spoke, "Your Highness, let him go. I'll do all you ask." The Crown Prince had a winning smirk. Tuoba Lufeng cried out, "No." Lianer's crystal tears began rolling down her cheeks as the despair took her. "Your Highness, 6th Prince is here with a strange youth. He requests an audience." A guard came to report. The Crown Prince flicked him away in annoyance. "That idiotic little brother of mine has the worst timing. I won't see him. Tell him to scram. Today's my most glorious day. I'm not in the mood to cater to his whims." "I'll notify 6th Prince at once." The guard left. The Crown Prince drew closer to Lianer with a disgusting leer in his eyes. His hands shook and his mouth watered in anticipation of having his fill of this fine lady's exquisite curves. "Lianer, I finally have you. This is heaven on earth, haha." "Then my brother," Lianer muttered. The Crown Prince sneered and waved, "After we seal the deal, he'll be my brother-in-law. I won't go hard on him. Ha ha ha." "Great, that's great," Lianer nodded in despair, her eyes losing their light. Tuoba Liufeng's eyes burned with hatred and humiliation. A man like him actually needed his sister to save him. Boom. The sudden huge explosion rattled everyone's composure. The Crown Prince cried out, "What's going on here?" Whoosh. A guard flew over in panic. "Your Highness, 6th Prince's guest is forcing his way over." "What? Does brother plan on rebelling to fight his way into my home?" The Crown Prince was fuming. "What are you doing standing around for? Take the men and capture them. Tie him up and bring him here. I'll have Imperial Father sort him out. For God's sake, Imperial Father spoils him too much. He even dares to barge into my home." The guard was hesitant. Your Highness, Sixth Prince's guest is too strong. We can't even hold him back. All the men we send over are dead. I barely made it out alive to report to you and urge you to flee. They're almost upon us. Boom. His words were cut short by the rumbling explosion from behind, sending a fierce gust of dust all around. When it settled, two men waltzed out of fresh ruins around them. To make it worse, the joking manner they carried themselves with made it look like they weren't just walking all over the Crown Prince's lavish home, or what was left of it. Sixth Prince, is this the way? Sir Joa, just up ahead, yes. Last time I saw the amazing scene in Crown Prince's manor right around here, the still pond. Sixth Prince was all smiles as he led the way. It's truly a wonder. I wanted this manor too, but elder brother just wouldn't budge. Not even Imperial Father would help me, saying Crown Prince's manor is too important to give to me. That is not proper. Joa Fan nodded. True, this ain't just about the manor, but the name of the Crown Prince. If the Crown Prince's stuff gets shared to everyone, won't that make him useless? So no matter how much the Emperor dotes on you, he still won't do something so absurd as to affect the Imperial family's image. That does make sense actually. Sixth Prince nodded, then became confused again. Doesn't that mean barging in like that will affect elder brother's image just as well? He is Crown Prince after all, so ruining his manor is a bit. Joa Fan glanced at him. Why should I care? Sixth Prince jerked and his eyes glittered. Cool. The two enjoyed the short stroll to the pavilion, looking about like they were window shopping, anywhere but at the host of this now ruined manor. It didn't get more disrespectful than this. The Crown Prince exploded in fury. Sixth Prince, what the hell? Are you revolting? Why did you barge your way in here? That's totally not it, elder brother. My idol came so I had to play the kind host. Since you have a marvelous natural attraction here, I just brought him over for a look-see. Look your ass. The Crown Prince had it, roaring, this is the Crown Prince's manor. Yet you destroyed it regardless just for that damn flimsy reason? You're outrageous. Joa Fan and the Sixth Prince didn't pay him any mind. Joa Fan was still looking around the place with a frown. There's nothing special about this place as well. Where's that wonder you talked about? That lake over there, it's a real rarity. I promise it won't disappoint, Sir Joa. The Sixth Prince stuck to him like glue as he flattered. The Crown Prince was outraged at the blatant disregard. Leonor's dead eyes picked up Joa Fan looking everywhere and her hope renewed. Joa Fan? Why you're Joa Fan? Yeah, you. Joa Fan had to focus for a second to really place where he had seen her before. Oh, Tuoba Tieshan's daughter, Leonor. It's been a while, how have you been? With a weak smile, Leonor sighed in response. Joa Fan shrugged and walked next to the lake, ignoring all the extra people around. It's not at all what I need. Oh well, I knew it was a long shot even when I came here. So where exactly is this amazing scenery, Sixth Prince? Sir Joa, it's the lake. The prince skipped before him and pointed. Joa Fan scanned the place, still ignoring everyone else. Leonor felt pain in her heart. Why was it that he was always so disregarding to everyone when she saw him? But this had to be why the people he did notice would forever be in his mind. Leonor's features softened, gazing at his inquisitive look. Ignoring the rare gentleness on his concubine's face, the Crown Prince shook from the humiliation and anger. Call all the venerables in this manner. I want this obnoxious fool to meet a swift end. Let him know the price of ruining my home. Yes, sir. The guard bowed and left at once. Joa Fan didn't know this, still looking at the lake. The hogtied Tuoba Lufeng saw this and shouted, Joa Fan, Crown Prince is calling reinforcements. Take my sister and run. Never come back to Chuanrong. Hey, who's he now? Joa Fan turned to where the voice came from. Chapter 810, Thrashing Crown Prince. Chapter 810, Thrashing Crown Prince. Proofreader, Papatonks. The Crown Prince's eyes were on fire from the hatred he put in his glare at Tuoba Lufeng. He went over and kicked the tied-up young commander into the air. Humph, you must have a death wish inviting enemies. Brother? Leonor cried out. Joa Fan looked on with a frown at the unrecognizable Tuoba Lufeng from all the beating. He then nodded, You're that guy playing commander back in Chanyu, Tuoba Lufeng? My, how cool you are now, almost can't hold it in even. Smiley face, a play on words since the same character is used for cool and commander. Sixth Prince grinned, Ha, Sir Joa, do you have something against young Tauba? He's in serious trouble right now, yet you're still being mean? Leonor glared at Joa Fan in anger. Well, on the last battlefield we were on opposite sides, though nothing more than that. Shrugging, Zhuofan had a flat look, returning to inspecting the lake. Sixth Prince, where's that marvel you keep talking about? Tuoba Lufeng shouted in panic. Zhuofan, Crown Prince has many experts. Don't be reckless and wait for them or it'll be too late. I only hope you'd take my sister with you when you go. Help her out of this hell. God damn it. You're still talking, you're still spilling the beans? Tuoba Liufeng's kind reminder had no effect on Zhuofan whatsoever, instead it only incensed the Crown Prince further. And so, the Crown Prince did what he knew best, kicking the helpless Tuoba Lufeng over and over again. Zhuofan ignored it all, his mind on the lake still. Lianer was panicking and begged, Zhuofan, please save my brother. He'll die. Her voice fell on deaf ears. Zhuofan, my brother is being beaten up for informing you and you're just going to stand there? Lianer teared up, her tone becoming sharper. You damn ingrate. Zhuofan glanced over. Ingrate? Did I ask him to? He gets what he deserves for running his mouth. Zhuofan bit back. Lianer only grew angrier, but all she could do was stare as the Crown Prince was beating her brother. Sixth Prince, the lake is as plain as it gets. You aren't toying with me, are you? After one last look at the water, Zhuofan threw a cold look at Sixth Prince, while Tuoba Liufeng's mournful howls sounded in the distance. Sixth Prince had a vague smile. It needs to be triggered first. What trigger? Zhuofan lit up. Pointing at the brutal Crown Prince, Sixth Prince grinned, by throwing snow lotus seeds in, a 6th grade pill ingredient that only grows on our Chuanrong's Wulera Snow Peak, will definitely get a reaction. Those seeds are something only Elder Brother has. Crown Prince? Zhuofan's eyes flashed. But, 6th Prince followed with a frown, Brother is petty and would never use the snow lotus seeds when asked. The only times he'd take them out was at holidays or Imperial Father's birthday. Sir Zhuo, what do you plan to do? Zhuofan was walking towards Crown Prince and grabbed him in mid-swing. Startled, the Crown Prince looked back at Zhuofan in anger. What do you think you're doing? Are you planning on saving this traitor? Of course you would, since you're on the same side. He even informed you just now. You really think you can save him and leave? Now hold on a second. Zhuofan shook his head. Your Highness, even if you beat him to death, that's your problem. It has nothing to do with me. Lianer glared at him. The hope she had when he grabbed Crown Prince now turned into hatred. The Crown Prince took Zhuofan for being afraid and grew bolder. Rotten punk, are you begging for mercy? Well, too bad. When my venerables come, you'll all leave this place as corpses. Oh, let's just leave that for later. Zhuofan was calm as he spoke. I just need a snow lotus seed from you. I want to see just what fascinating spectacle you got here. Snow lotus seed. The Crown Prince mocked. You want to see the beauty of this marvel? Haha, this is Chuanrong's proof of good fortune and only the imperial family is allowed to appreciate its beauty. Bam. Zhuofan flicked his hand and slammed his head into a nearby convenient stone pillar. The Crown Prince's delicate features were now marred with blood, and even some teeth fell off. This was how an eminent figure was reduced to a grotesque creature, looking worse off even when compared to the beaten Tuoba Lufeng. Startled, all were shocked Zhuofan was actually so savage against the Crown Prince. Bringing Crown Prince's head around, Zhuofan spoke coldly, the snow lotus seed. You don't even think, my men are coming? Bam. Zhuofan returned to having Crown Prince's face make intimate and brutal contact with a hard rock, again and again for good measure. When he thought it was enough, he brought Crown Prince around, his face unrecognizable. The snow lotus seed. Zhuofan demanded. Why you? Bam. The snow lotus seed. Bam. Zhuofan just kept on smashing his face into a rock while asking. The Crown Prince might think himself some big shot from the imperial family, but Zhuofan thrashed him all the same until he bawled. The snow lotus seed. Zhuofan roared this time, but Crown Prince had long since fallen silent. Enraged, Zhuofan returned to smashing, but then he noticed the flailing arms, pointing at his bloody and toothless mouth. Zhuofan now realized the guy was unable to speak. The victim pointed to a building on the side as he groaned in tears. Pondering for a bit, Zhuofan looked at 6th Prince. Is he saying the seed is in that building? 6th Prince, you know how it looks, so go look for it. Sure thing. The prince laughed and skipped over to the building. He didn't so much as bat an eye as his dear elder brother's face was tenderized into an unrecognizable slop. He's one evil brat. Zhuofan thought, flicking his hand and throwing the limp Crown Prince away, returning to the lake and staring down at it. Lianer and Tuoba Lufeng were dumbstruck. Zhuofan was cold as a rock when talked to, but when he struck he was a volcano. Even Lianer felt a pang of sorrow when looking at the new makeover done on the crown prince's face. No matter how big the grudge, such an outcome is too brutal. Going after his face when it was so charming before. But then the two awoke at the dire situation they were in. Oh no! Tuoba Lufeng shot to his feet and shouted, Zhuofan, by harming the crown prince you became Chuanrong's enemy. Take my sister and go. You won't make it out when the experts come. Lianer looked tense at Zhuofan, then at Tuoba Lufeng. Brother, why don't we just go with father and the rest? This place doesn't want us anymore. I also thought about it, but father is ever loyal to his country. He will never betray it. Tuoba Lufeng sighed. Lianer lowered her head in worry and vexation. Glancing over, Zhuofan finally recalled the past dealing and said, Dugu Zhantian also died because of his loyalty to his country. I must say, these two geezers sure are alike, ha. The siblings nodded. The marshal and commander had received such praise from the people was not just from their glorious military victories, but also their loyal character. Zhuofan, my father and I may die, but Lianer must not lose her life in a place like this. All I ask is that you take her, let the Tauba line go on. No, I still need to see the spectacle here. Tuoba Lufeng begged Zhuofan once more, but Zhuofan refused, his reason only making the brother feel helpless. Brother, is that eye candy more important than our lives? Eye candy? Zhuofan frowned. Is that all this place amounts to, some fancy view? A laughter broke his concentration. Ha! You think you can just walk away after ruining Crown Prince's home? Are you taking us for props? 9 powerful energies surrounded the place as elders appeared before them. Damn it, the 9 venerables of the Crown Prince Manor are here. They're at the 8th or 9th layer radiant stage with 4 even at the peak. We're doomed. Tuoba Lufeng cried. Lianer clenched her clammy fists while Zhuofan frowned. Not because of the elders, of course, but that he got to the wrong place again. Chapter 8:11, Stop Bothering Me. Chapter 8:11, Stop Bothering Me. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. 9 old men landed, sporting cruel looks at the trio. Among them, one guy with scattered hair, the strongest, stepped up and spat, Humph, you must have a death wish to destroy Crown Prince's manor. Where is his highness? What? Tuoba Liufeng's heart sank, feeling sweat trickling down his spine. Just this guy alone was enough to deal with them, a peak radiant stage expert. In a couple of years he should be a true ethereal stage expert as well, becoming one of the Empire's legends, one of the best. With him here, the 3 had no chance of getting away. Tuoba Lufeng sighed at the grim outlook, his hopes gone. I wonder if Zhuofan's sudden arrival was a blessing or a curse. His sister was free of the Crown Prince for now since Zhuofan's intervention, but now the Tauba family would be killed because of his aggressive handling of the Crown Prince. They might even be labeled as traitors. Tauba Lianer understood they were in serious danger, and her eyes still gave contemplative look to a somewhat oblivious Zhuofan. I asked you a question. Where's his highness? Seeing them silent, the old man roared. Tuoba Lufeng shook, finding speaking difficult. Tauba Lianer pointed to where the Crown Prince was lying with a cold face, over there. I wonder if you still recognize him. That's Crown Prince. They all gasped at the sobbing, gruesome mishmash of features that barely hinted at what once was. Their elegant and handsome Crown Prince was now reduced to this thing. Those eyes were swollen out of their sockets, the nose more twisted than a ravine, and the former spotless denture turned into a bloody hole. The only reason they even noticed him was because Tauba Lianer pointed out. Stunned seeing a face only a mother could love, the old man roared, it's Crown Prince's signature feature. What gave you the nerve to harm the Crown Prince like this? You're done for. Whoosh. The old man's anger exploded. Talk, who did this? I'll peel his skin and crush his bones. It'll be ages before I'm through with him. Tuoba Lufeng panicked under the 9's auras. Zhuofan was still in his own world, contemplating more important stuff. Venerables, I did it. If you want to kill someone, kill me. Lianer scrounged up her courage and declared. Tuoba Lufeng cried, Sister? It's fine. Lianer cut him off, this is all my fault. Tanya used to say women were deadly, and now I have to admit they were right. If it weren't for me, the Tauba family would never have ended up like this. It's all my fault and I should settle it. Lianer spoke with sadness and despair. Tuoba Liufeng's clenched fist shook, feeling utterly useless. Lianer wanted to use her life to settle it all and save the Tauba family. No, the family was already finished. She was giving him and Zhuofan the chance to get away. But how could her brother just let his sister take the blame? Tuoba Lufeng roared at Zhuofan. Zhuofan, you bastard, is that how a man behaves, letting a woman take the fall for you? Brother? Lianer cried out, having made up her mind. So why was her brother dragging Zhuofan into this? Tuoba Lufeng was firm when he saw Lianer's despair. Harming the crown prince was a heavy crime, akin to assassinating a royal member or rebelling. He could not let it hang over Lianer's head. All of this happened because Zhuofan showed up. The 9 venerables finally noticed Zhuofan that they ignored since he looked so quiet to the side. The 9 people tensed. 8th layer radiant stage. He does have the power. The leading elder squinted and snickered. I see what's going on. You're the one who made a mess of Crown Prince's manor. Haha, I knew it was odd for a girl to admit it. When the guard reported to us, he said that none of them could fight back. How could a wee girl be so tough? Seeing your high cultivation, it all makes sense. If we 9 hadn't come, none in the Crown Prince manor would be able to hold you, ha. Zhuofan's mind was still processing. The leading elder took it for cowardice and mocked. Here I thought you had guts when attacking Crown Prince, but now I see you're full of it. It's understandable, as not even an 8th layer radiant stage cultivator can escape from us 9. Being scared is normal. But to have a girl take the blame for you, talk about useless, ha. The other 8 looked at Zhuofan with the same disdain as their leader. Sir Zhua, I brought the snow lotus seeds. A whoop of joy sounded in the distance. 6th prince skipped over to Zhuofan in excitement. Zhuofan woke up at last, staring only at the 6th prince's figure. Took you long enough. Hurry up and throw them in. I want to see just how fancy this thing is. Fuck. The mockery was stuck in the 9 elders' throats seeing him ignore them. The 2 soon joined and started throwing seeds into the lake while watching for any signs. The elders' faces sank. For God's sake, here we thought he was scared when in fact he didn't give a damn about us. He's toying with us. Boy, don't think that your high cultivation is enough to do what you want in Chuanrong. You ruined Crown Prince Manor and I'll have you pay for that. 6th Prince, I heard this is eye candy. Isn't that so average? Sir Zhua, this is a true marvel, I promise. It's a true rare spectacle in this world that won't disappoint he. Oh, I'm relieved. Let's just watch. Zhuofan and 6th Prince were curious about the lake, even ignoring the elders' raving curses. Blatant disregard, that was what this was. The old man's face twitched as he barked, let's get this damn faker, men. I want him dead. Yes, sir. The other elders bowed and shot for Zhuofan. Their mighty auras filled with bloodthirst covered the sky. Lianer cried, look out, Zhuofan. Oh no, the bloodthirst is affecting the lake and it's too scared to react. The 6th prince shivered and cried. Zhuofan's face twitched and his face sank. Turning around and seeing the incoming 8 elders, he roared, damn geezers, stop bothering me. Oh. A mighty gale shot out that went through the 8 elders. The old men lost their lives before even knowing what happened, slumping to the ground like a ton of bricks. Tuoba Lufeng and Lianer were shell-shocked. What was that? Bang. A crisp sound echoed and the leading elder felt his legs soften, kneeling on the ground. He was in the lead when the gale had struck him as well. Now he looked deathly pale and overcome with horror, and no way. See that soul impact. An ethereal stage expert. Zhuofan went back to his problem, the lake. He asked, 6th Prince, now it's quiet. Will it show up? Yeah, soon. 6th Prince grinned. The 2 looked like they came to sightsee. They were calm and the mood was calm too finally. Only Tuoba Lufeng, Lianer and the surviving elder looked at Zhuofan with fear. This guy is even more terrible than before. All kinds of thoughts ran through Tuoba Liufeng's mind. Chapter 812, Flower Fairy. Chapter 812, Flower Fairy. Proofreader, Papatonks. 15 minutes later, the still lake rippled. The snow lotus seeds floated inside, releasing bubbles. As each bubble burst, the seed below it was gone. The ripples became more and more numerous. Zhuofan looked focused, watching as flowers floated to the water surface from deep below, swaying in the sunlight. A total of 1,000 flowers appeared, moving about as if they were dancing. Zhuofan's eyelid twitched, looking straight at the 6th prince. The prince was smug. Well, Sir Zhua? Isn't it fab? Hee. Zhuofan nodded. If it were only a couple of flowers having spirituality, it wouldn't be much, maybe it was something related to their species. But with 1,000 different flowers all showing the same reaction, living at the bottom of the lake, now that was different. Just what was the deep hiding for such a scene to occur? Is there really a whirlwind tunnel in here? Zhuofan asked the sixth prince. You just say this won't be just some eye candy, a fancy view. What did you mean by that? Well? The sixth prince wiggled his eyebrow with a vague smile. Revival, something I bet not even Sir Zhuo has ever experienced. Revival? Zhuofan frowned. Understanding his thoughts, the sixth prince skipped over to the ghastly-looking crown prince. My elder brother is the perfect candidate for Sir to witness this event. Sixth prince grabbed snow lotus seeds and threw them high, shouting, Eat it, flower fairy. Bang. With a loud burst, the lake exploded, with a water sprout jutting out and wiggling in the air to catch them all. Then it shot back into the lake, sending a shower of fine water droplets. Each drop released a faint golden glow in contact with anything. When they touched the crown prince, one could see how with every drop, his disfigured face was recovering. Even his teeth grew back. Even the somewhat far Tuoba Lufeng, who the golden glow did not reach, was healed in moments. Zhuofan was looking inquisitively, hand on his chin, quick recovery along the lines of my returning dragon's roar, if not stronger. Sir Zhuo, well, isn't it amazing? The sixth prince grinned. The crown prince shot to his feet, looking at Zhuofan with fear. Then he scurried away, wanting nothing to do with him. Zhuofan nodded, taking one step to pop in the crown prince's face. He grabbed his skull, cracking it on some random rock and giving him that revolting look again before throwing him to the ground. The crown prince wailed, his bloody and toothless mouth straining to speak. I didn't do or say anything. So why? The sixth prince was curious as well. Zhuofan shrugged. It'll be more peaceful without his bullshit poisoning the air again. This works? The sixth prince started. The crown prince cried, filled with grief. Yes, this worked like a charm. While the Tauba siblings looked at Zhuofan in silence, he was the only one running his mouth and showing off. His Highness had been a victim to maltreatment twice now, at the hand of the same demon, yet the second time made no sense. This was just not Crown Prince's day. He got beaten in his own home and twice on top of that. Ignoring the others, Zhuofan stared at the lake, then at the 8 dead elders. It was obvious the golden glow was not capable of true revival, only good at healing, just that it was far stronger than most pills. With them having their soul crushed, there was no way to make a comeback. Next was finding out where this golden glow came from. Zhuofan lifted his right hand, covered in a red and brutal glow. Qilin arm. Zhuofan flicked his hand right at the lake. Boom. The motion was that of a savage sword, splitting the lake in two. The water towered up to 300 meters as it rumbled to the sides. It left the lake bed completely exposed. Sir Zhuo, what are you doing? The sixth prince was shocked by his action. Zhuofan spoke, checking what's below. But there should be nothing there. The sixth prince sighed. Ever since discovering this marvel, elder brother had sent people down there but found nothing. Zhuofan stared hard at it, then said, just because they failed, that doesn't mean I will too. Something odd is going on here. Squinting, Zhuofan's soul covered the lake, feeling every nook and cranny with no results. Is there really nothing? Just then, when he was about to give up, he felt something to one side. Focusing on the spot, Zhuofan still got nothing. Then it happened again. Zhuofan focused and his right eye sported 6 golden halos. Divine Eye of the Void 6th stage, Void Domain. Bang. Feeling like he had hit a wall, Zhuofan snickered. He then pointed forward and his eye released its power. A palm-sized space pocket formed before him, holding in it a finger-sized golden person. It had transparent wings, humming as they flapped. Its hand was holding on to some snow lotus seeds, looking at Zhuofan in panic. What's that thing? The sixth prince cried out in curiosity. Zhuofan said, Flower spirit, a being born of this world like a fire spirit or blood spirit. It's nurtured by the world until it gains spirituality. The flower spirit is a being of wood, an element with brimming vitality. That's why it can heal so perfectly. Although weak in battle, having it around is much better than having pills. Blinking, the sixth prince looked confused, but the least he could catch from that was that it was precious. The flower spirit is nature's favorite and good at hiding. No powerful expert would ever sense it, least of all catch it. A shame my void domain can create a space pocket. As long as I can sense the location, setting it up will trap this little guy, haha. Holding the flower spirit, Zhuofan had a manic grin. Isn't that right? It kept struggling to flee, but Zhuofan tightened his grip, making its effort useless until it gave up. Boom. The huge water expunged from the lake finally came down in a mighty roar. Zhuofan ignored it and held the fairy as he left. The sixth prince hurriedly asked, "Where are you going, Sir Zhua?" "Finding what I came for." Zhuofan's eyes shone in glee. A special place with thick spiritual energy is needed to give birth to a fairy. This lake has none of that, which means it moved here. Now I'll have this guy lead the way, taking me to my destination. The sixth prince followed after him. "Sir Zhua, I'm coming too." The fairy crossed its arms and looked at Zhuofan in resentment, like that was not gonna happen. "Haha, little guy, you sure are feisty." With an evil grin, Zhuofan stared at its hard face as a black thunder flame flashed in his left eye. Sometimes being stubborn comes with a price. Are you ready for it? Shuddering, the flower spirit sweated, bobbing its head, and water gathered beneath it, as if it peed itself from fear. That thunder flame made it feel like destruction was nigh. Zhuofan held a tight grip on the spirit as he left, the sixth prince his faithful fan. As for the Taubas, Zhuofan had better things to do than mind them. The peak radiant stage elder, now scared to death, was still kneeling and shaking like a leaf. He still couldn't get over the fact Zhuofan killed 8 of his men in a flash. Chapter 8:13, Unstoppable. Chapter 8:13, Unstoppable. Proofreader, Papatonks. He not once looked at me. Watching Zhuofan's back, Lianer's mood fell. She started off feeling despair, then hope, then shock, then despair again. But she ended the cycle with anger. Tuoba Lufeng sighed. "Lianer, cut me loose and remove the seal on me." "All right." Lianer now recalled her brother's predicament and rushed to release his yuan qi. Tuoba Lufeng finally got his freedom back. Looking around, seeing the old man lost in his own world, Tuoba Lufeng said, "Lianer, this time it's grave. We best rush to father. We have to try and flee with him. With the crown prince's manor ruined, the consequences are dire. Zhuofan is an uncaring monster, stirring things up and making us suffer for it. We have no choice but to flee our home." "Brother, how can you say that?" Glaring at him in dissatisfaction, Lianer pouted, "If not for him, we both would have suffered at Crown Prince's hand. I can't even think about what he'd have done." Tuoba Lufeng nodded. "Yeah, while the punk ruined everything, he did help us. We should be grateful for it. But we first have to flee from here and not get dragged into this any further." Lianer nodded and the two flew away, leaving the elder behind, still too horrified to react. "High Venerable." Footsteps were heard as a guard looked around to see only the shell-shocked elder. The elder still didn't react. Sighing, the guard shouted in his ear, "High Venerable, the monster is gone." Shaking, the elder finally came out of his stupor. Seeing Zhuofan was nowhere around, he sighed and got up. But then he felt chilly below. Looking down, there was a wet patch. The guard chuckled and the old man went red. His glare wiped the smirk off the guard's face. "Ahem, did that guy leave?" "Long ago." "How long?" 15 minutes. The guard bowed. Squinting, the elder nodded. "Why did you only wake me up now?" "Because the Tauba siblings." Bam. The guard's words were cut short by the old man's palm, slapping him dead. Glancing over, the elder's eyes grew hard. "Damn fool, you think you'll still get to live after seeing all that?" Umph. The elder's eyes darted around. Assured no one else was around, he took out a fresh pair of pants from his ring and changed. He then rushed to the crown prince's side. "Your Highness, what's wrong? Here, take this healing pill." "No." The crown prince's eyes glinted with hatred, slurring his words through non-existent teeth. "Take me to Elder Hu, I want them to take revenge." The elder bowed, understood. He grabbed the prince and left. There was a wide courtyard in the capital, one that had a large lion statue with the words honor and loyalty engraved on it. Above the gate were the words Tauba Manor written. Unlike the imposing gate, the wind that blew was a cold and bitter one, carrying with it a bleak tone along with the dust of the capital. Inside the manor, 2 men sat upright in the middle of the room, the former commander of Chuanrong and the imperial tutor Han Tiema. Frowning, Tuoba Taizhan hesitated before finally jumping to his feet in revulsion. "Guards, summon the 8 wolf wardens. I'm going to Crown Prince Manor myself." "Wait, Brother Tauba. You can't let it devolve any further," Han Tiema urged. Shaking his head, Tuoba Taizhan was vexed. Brother Lufeng is my only son, now trapped in Crown Prince Manor. How am I supposed to calm down when His Highness is capable of anything? No matter how restless you are, you can't just go with the city guards. Han Chima shook his head. The minute you resort to using the guards and against the Crown Prince too, that would be the moment you'll be taken as a traitor. Then no one can save you. Let's say you get to mobilize all the men, what then? You're now the captain of the guards, not Commander Tauba, leader of millions. Commander Tauba Manor is packed with experts, 9 venerables of immense power. Even if you go, it won't make a difference, so what's the point? Bam. Slamming the table, Tuoba Taizhan glared. Even so, as a father, the least I can do is try. Calm down, Brother Tauba. Han Chema sighed. Why don't we assemble the court's officials and plead to His Majesty, to be lenient on account of your past? Tuoba Taizhan shook his head. No use, His Majesty issued an unbreakable decree this time, leaving Crown Prince in charge of this. Any that interferes will be executed. Who in the court would be willing to meddle in this? Han Chema sighed. His Majesty is too easy on the Crown Prince, yet cruel to his ministers. People's opinion of him will sour. Master. A cry came as a servant rushed before Tuoba Taizhan. Why, young miss, she. What about her? Tuoba Taizhan cried. The servant girl jerked. Young miss knocked me out and ran away. She must be going to Crown Prince Manor to save young master. Damn that girl. Is she trying to anger me to death? Tuoba Taizhan was panicking, shouting, have the 8 wolf wardens assemble the men, surround Crown Prince Manor. Brother Tauba, you must calm down. No, not this time. At the very least, I'll have the 2 children flee while I shoulder the blame. Tuoba Cheshan's mind was made up. Sighing, Han Chema shouted after him, Tuoba Taizhan, do you really plan on throwing away all you accomplished? Are you going to become a criminal to Chuanrong? Tuoba Taizhan shook, but his eyes were firm. As the commander of Chuanrong, I have fought for my country all my life, and shall never betray it. No matter how much His Majesty forsakes me, I will not complain. But I am also a father. How can I just sit by and watch my children bear unjust crimes? Han Chema, today I may be convicted of crimes and my head will hang high above the city gates. I will have no regrets knowing I did all I could for the future of my children. Tuoba Taizhan was soon gone. Han Chema sighed and got up to follow. Commander, the men are here. We await your orders. Outside the manor, the 8 wolf wardens were gathered. Tuoba Taizhan eyed them and shouted, we march. Yes, sir. The 8 wolf wardens bowed, glee dancing in their eyes. The last 8 years had been spent in unrest, hardly ever fighting and always held back. Now they were going to let loose against the Crown Prince no less. Yet they were still joyful. It was their honor to serve under the commander. Wait, Tuoba Taizhan. Han Chima caught up. Tuoba Taizhan didn't even look back. My mind is set. I'm not trying to sway you. I want to come with you, old friend. It would be great if I can convince His Highness to let them go. If not, I'll be most willing to be labeled a traitor alongside you. Shaking, Tuoba Taizhan laughed. Good, ha. The army marched, their spirits uplifted, their drive ignited. Yet after 2 steps, a staggering figure entered their vision, an imperial palace guard. Did His Majesty find out already? Did he come to stop us? Tuoba Taizhan and the rest were tense. If this was the emperor's decree, then before them had to be a huge army to block their path. But the imperial guard actually went and panicked at their sight. Commander Tauba, you truly are the empire's god of war, of such brilliant mind as to foresee the imperial palace is in peril and send the men to aid it. The imperial palace is in danger? Tuoba Taizhan and the rest were stunned. Panting, the imperial guard showed fear. Yes, the 6th prince brought a youth as he barged into the imperial palace. He's unstoppable, he's almost at His Majesty's chambers. Chapter 8:14, Assaulting the Imperial Palace. Chapter 8:14, Assaulting the Imperial Palace. Proofreader, Papatonks. Boom. Waves upon waves of imperial guards poured out of the palace gates, only to be blown away by rumbling explosions as pieces of their former selves. With a constant drizzle of blood going on, it marked the dark and cruel end of tens of thousands of soldiers. Zhuofan flicked his red right fist and looked uncaringly at the flower spirit held tightly in his left. It was like he was out mowing a lawn or something and not butchering people. Which way is it this time? Don't try to play me, you pint. Shuddering in fear, the flower spirit shook its head and pointed at a large wall. Boom. Another rumble sounded. Zhuo Fan found it a waste of time circling around to use the front gate, so he just made a new one right here in the 50-meter-tall wall. The sixth prince, sticking close like any true fanboy would, was mulling over whether Zhuo Fan had stopped being human at this point as he kept charging in like a raging beast. If there was no way he'd find it, anyone that stepped between him and his goal would leave the scene as a corpse. Or maybe Zhuo Fan no longer registered these people as living beings, merely as obstacles. Sixth Prince Sir Zhuo is truly reckless. This is the Imperial Palace he's barging into, killing left and right. With his insane power, it won't matter who he steps on, but once he's gone you'll be left behind. He'll go, wiping his hands of it all, and you'll take the fall. Jin Buhuan and his 3 elders were overwhelmed by what they saw, crying and fearful as he urged the prince. They had followed the two all the way here, following Zhuo Fan's wake of destruction from the Crown Prince Manor. Now that they saw Zhuo Fan's brutality for themselves, they feared for their lord. Sixth Prince, we have to leave now, while His Majesty is yet to realize your involvement. We'll then say he forced us when we're questioned and be absolved of any blame. Sixth Prince was thinking, but he snapped, "Humph, Sir Zhuo is my honored guest. I said I'll take him to what he's searching, and that's what I'll do. Since it's about to be found, I will accompany Sir Zhuo to confirm this. If you're scared, you're welcome to leave." Flicking his sleeves, Sixth Prince huffed and shooed the 4 away as he caught up to Zhuo Fan with a chuckle. "Sir Zhuo, wait for me. This is insane," Jin Buhuan sighed but then decided. To hell with it. Then he went after as well. Sixth Prince was their lord after all. Zhuo Fan stepped through anything that came before him, men or stone, with a few men following behind him with worry. What would they do once Zhuo Fan walked away? Sixth Prince didn't look to have given this problem much thought, always beaming as he watched his idol at work. "Why, Your Majesty, the criminal is just 1,000 meters away. I beg Your Majesty to flee." "Why, Your Majesty, he is at 800 meters. Please flee, Your Majesty." "Your Majesty." In a tranquil garden, the peace was broken as all kinds of nervous voices shouted. The Imperial Guards just kept on coming one after the other, fully distraught and panicking as they reported. What they said was almost always the same, that the criminal was getting closer and they could not stop it. The people in the palace were afraid now but also suspicious. Where did such a freak come from all of a sudden? When did Xuanrong mess with such a godly expert? None could make sense of it, not even the emperor in his golden robe. He was now frowning, stressed out by the sudden and brutal development. He had no idea what unforgivable sin might have been committed to deserve such retribution. The Xuanrong Empire had the beast-taming sect's protection. While totally disdained, beast-taming sect would still care about its name and defend it. So why? Boom. The emperor's thoughts were blown away by the sound. Looking over, he saw a hill being blown away not 100 meters from where he was. When the dust cleared, a handful of people walked out. In the lead was Zhuo Fan, the main culprit, with the emperor's 6th son at his side. Following a few steps behind were his venerables. The emperor's mouth twitched, his face falling. "Son, now you're trying to rebel? What are you doing charging into the Imperial Palace with an outsider? Is it because I didn't give you Crown Prince's manor? Haven't I made it up to you with that glorious waterfall? Did you have to go this far? I'm such a fool looking after you." "Imperial Father, what are you saying? This is no rebellion, nor do I want your seat. You just have to sit tight and not move. Have a feast, get the girls to dance and ignore us." Sixth Prince rolled his eyes. The emperor was stunned. "If this is not a rebellion, why are you barging into the Imperial Palace? How's it my fault?" Sticking out his chin, the Sixth Prince spoke with pride and honor. "I wanted to go in, but those guards just wouldn't listen. My dear guest is quite impatient as well, wanting to get in at once. Those guards stopped us without reason, so we just went through them." The emperor's brow shook as he sized Zhuo Fan up. "You broke into the Imperial Palace because you're impatient? Have you lost it? Couldn't you have waited for an audience with me?" Shrugging, the Sixth Prince remained silent. Ignoring their argument, Zhuo Fan looked at the spirit pointing the way to a rock garden. "This way?" "Wait, what are you doing?" the emperor shouted in panic. Zhuo Fan never paid him any mind. The Sixth Prince also followed Zhuo Fan like before, making the emperor twitch. The emperor roared, "Son, stop him. Can't do, Imperial Father. How can I do what thousands of guards couldn't?" The Sixth Prince shrugged with a chuckle. Sighing, the emperor held his head. "It's over, disaster is upon us. What criminal dares to make a ruckus with Tuoba Taizhan around?" Following this shout, Tuoba Taizhan marched his thousands of troops into the garden, surrounding it. The 8 wolf wardens appeared before Zhuo Fan, filled with battle spirit. Your Majesty, I ask that you forgive my delay. Tuoba Taizhan cupped his hands at the emperor. The emperor was overjoyed. It's fine, Commander Tauba. You came just in time. Catch that man. Stop him from destroying everything. Yes, sir. Tuoba Taizhan bowed and shouted, 8 wolf wardens, arrest that man. The 8 wolf wardens were about to obey. Wait. The Tauba siblings took this moment to arrive. Tuoba Taizhan cried out, Lufeng, you all? Father, please hurry and stop the wardens. We can't touch this man. We'll only earn more casualties. Rushing before the commander, Tuoba Lufeng and Liener urged him. Having seen Zhuo Fan's mighty power, they were totally convinced that not even the entire Tauba family and its army would be of any use. Tuoba Taizhan was shocked. The Tauba family was one devoted to serving their nation, always brave and sharp, never cowardly. But these two were urging him to stand down. Who is this man to make them ask their own father to stop? Is there no hope at all? Tuoba Taizhan looked over closer, finding the culprit familiar, the best steward in Tianyu, Zhuo Fan. The 8 wolf wardens looked as well and were shocked to the core. Zhao Lahan still remembered the bitterness he suffered back then. Faced with this old enemy, old fears resurfaced, fears powerful enough to make them falter. Zhuo Fan never spoke a word so far, but then the emperor said, Commander Tauba, you know him. Not just know him, he is the only one in my entire life that made me lose in battle. Tuoba Taizhan sighed. The emperor cried, you mean 8 years ago the second god of war in Tianyu, Dugu Zhantian's replacement? But what's he doing in Xuanrong? Is he a spy? The entire Tauba family tensed, looking at the emperor with twitching faces. Your Majesty, have you ever seen a commander resorting to grunt work? Chapter 8:15, Secret Path. Chapter 8:15, Secret Path. Proofreader, Papatonks. Your Majesty, I don't think he would do that himself. Tuoba Taizhan shook his head, turning back to Zhuo Fan and shouting, Zhuo Fan, since you had the nerve to barge into Xuanrong imperial capital, I, as its captain of the guards, shall arrest you. Father. Tuoba Taizhan started to shout, turning to see his son and daughter shaking their heads. Father, that's the worst thing you could possibly do. He's more savage than before. Confused, Tuoba Taizhan scratched his head. Once bitten, twice shy? The last time we only lost against an army. But now he's all alone against all of us. Yet you're telling me I still can't take him? Father, don't look down on him just for being alone. He'll still mow us down. The Tauba siblings knew what he was thinking, constantly shaking their heads. Tuoba Taizhan was still perplexed as to why. Haha, is the destroyer of Crown Prince's manor here? 4 figures landed. Elder Hu, he's the one. The Crown Prince's High Venerable carried the bedridden Crown Prince as he bowed before a muscled youth. The Crown Prince crawled higher on the High Venerable's back and cursed when he saw Zhuo Fan. Elder Hu, he's the one. Kill him. With me here, all will be over soon. The man turned to Zhuo Fan and then widened his eyes, roaring, You again, brat? Zhuo Fan was perplexed. Another youth next to Elder Hu stomped hard as his features twisted. Rotten punk, I guess you don't recognize us now, but we certainly do. After that loss, we vowed that one day we'll pull every bone from your body and make you experience pain like no other. Who thought that today will be the day we'll do it? No one will save you now, haha, not even heaven itself. The man cackled, releasing his mighty aura and making even High Venerable shake in fear. This is the power of an ethereal stage expert. So strong. Elder Lang, you have something with the kid too? The High Venerable asked. Great, now old and new grievances will be washed away today. Elder Lang's eyes were bloodshot. Humph, just a grievance? That day in Tianyu he ruined my body. Oh. He didn't finish as a whistling sound was heard, followed by a large scarlet dragon claw grabbing all 4 of them. The 4 struggled for nothing as even their souls were stuck in the draconic grip. Elder Hu's eyes bugged out. What is this? Soul. You're a radiant stage cultivator, how can you form a soul? Why is it so strong? The scarlet dragon claw came from behind Zhuo Fan like a third hand. Zhuo Fan looked annoyed right now. Since you survived, keep your nose down. Why the hell are 2 fleas coming to buzz in my ears about old times? Bam. The dragon claw clenched and the 4 exploded in a shower of blood, splattering on everyone around. The victims had no chance to even wail their demise. destroyed in body and soul, including the 2 ethereal stage cultivators. The witnesses were speechless. 2 ethereal stage experts and a peak radiant stage cultivator were squashed like bugs. Tuoba Taizhan looked from his children to Zhuofan, now understanding their fear. Zhuofan was no longer human to be able to kill ethereal stage experts so easily. The 8 wolf wardens faltered and shivered. Zhuofan was worlds above them. Even before, alone they were no match for Zhuofan, but using human wave tactics they could stall him. Something impossible right now. Zhuofan was beyond their reach. An eerie silence fell. Everyone regarded Zhuofan with fear. An ethereal stage expert was seen as a god by these people. But they died all the same in the easiest manner possible. Taking back the claw, Zhuofan returned to his calm demeanor. 6th Prince, this pint is pointing at that hill. Is there something off about it? Shouldn't be. That is a view I often visited when I was small. It should be fine. The 6th Prince was puzzled as he looked around. Zhuofan inspected his surroundings and smiled. So it's a concealing array, one powered by sacred stones. No wonder it's hard to see. But what's it hiding? Void annihilation. With a creepy smile, Zhuofan's right eye flashed golden twice. Rumble. Something broke then and everyone's view changed. It was like a mirror had just suffered a crack and started crumbling and vanishing. Before them was a pitch-black cave in the hill. The flower fairy pointed right at it. Grinning, Zhuofan walked forward, but a shout came, "Wait, sir." Zhuofan started and turned to the speaker, the Chuanrong Emperor. Only this time the Emperor had lost his panicking look, turning grave. "Sir, no matter who you are, if you go in, you may not come back. This barrier is Chuanrong's shame, and also a catalyst. You shouldn't have broken it. No one can stop me from getting what I want. Thanks for the reminder." Zhuofan walked forward without hesitation and jumped in. The 6th Prince followed him, but the Emperor shouted, "Son. Imperial Father, actually, I knew of this place long ago." The 6th Prince smiled, his eyes sharp. "This is our empire's shame and the imperial family's disgrace. One day this barrier would have been lifted, only no one dared to, but I believe Sir Zhuo would be the one to break everything. I have seen his might in the Double Dragon gathering. He's not like those hypocrites." The 6th Prince jumped in. The Emperor wanted to stop him but could only sigh as he was too late. Tuoba Taizhan was puzzled. "Your Majesty, what's in there?" "Why? Old Commander Tauba, if they don't come out, take your men and run or they would destroy." The Emperor sighed and shook his head. "Who's they?" Whoosh. However, a figure flashed by and Liener jumped right in. Tauba Liener rushed after her. Liener. For people had just gone into the dark cave, their signature lost. Tuoba Taizhan was sweating, but the Emperor held his shoulder. "Old Commander, it's all up to luck now. Seeing how easy the man killed 2 ethereal stage experts, I hope he will be able to bring everyone back. Then I wish for Commander Tauba to take my son and go." Shaking, Tuoba Taizhan looked at the Emperor lost, his face grave. "Why would His Majesty ask me to flee with his son? Is the enemy? Your Majesty, Crown Prince's body? Feed it to the dogs." The Emperor's eyes were filled with hatred. Tuoba Taizhan was shocked more than ever. Meanwhile, Zhuofan landed in the cave and all he saw was a winding path through the earth. The flower spirit pointed onward and Zhuofan nodded. But then he heard a shout from above and Zhuofan shook his head. Sidestepping, he witnessed 3 mighty thumps as 3 people landed hard on their rear. Chapter 8:16, Striking Beast Taming Sect. Chapter 8:16, Striking Beast Taming Sect. Proofreader, Papatonks. Why are you here? You can tell from the concealing array and sacred stones, this is beyond the reach of the realm of sects, a place where we'll be facing real experts. You're forfeiting your lives by coming here. Seeing the 3 weird faces as they struggled to get up, Zhuofan reminded them. The 6th Prince snickered. Sir Zhuo, if I said I'll take you to where you want to go, then I'm not about to give up halfway. I can find the rest of the way by myself. Zhuofan spoke. Frowning, Liener held Zhuofan in a steady gaze. We already offended the Crown Prince. His Majesty said this place hides some great calamity for Chuanrong as well. I want to prevail here and ask His Majesty for forgiveness. The fact that something was sealed here shows it's beyond something any of you can handle. This gamble will end with your death. Glancing over, Zhuofan turned to Tuoba Lufeng, and what's your excuse? Scratching his distracted back, Tuoba Lufeng panted as he pointed at Liener. I came for her. Funny enough, your reason is the most plausible. Now take them and get out. Zhuo Fan nodded and walked further in. The sixth prince and Lianer spoke hastily, "We're not leaving. We're coming with you." Tuoba Lufeng frowned, looking above at the unclimbable black hole, and shook his head. "Just how deep is this? We can't fly here either, and ended up having a rough landing." "Yeah, hey Sir Zhuo. Why didn't you fall?" The sixth prince turned to Zhuo Fan. He took a look around and said, "There's a spatial bind array here that prevents flying. What about you?" The spatial bind array is a 6th grade array. Anything beneath 7th grade can't affect ethereals. Since I formed my soul, the array doesn't work on me. Walking ahead, Zhuo Fan said, "You can't go back and I don't have time to waste undoing the array. You'll just have to come along." "Sure." Cheering inside, the two went right after him. Tuoba Lufeng had no choice but to go as well, frowning. "Zhuo Fan, who do you figure dug this tunnel behind the Imperial Palace?" Zhuo Fan replied, "We'll know when we reach the end. Also, it had to be an ethereal stage expert for sure." "Why so sure?" Tuoba Lufeng asked. Zhuo Fan spoke, looking around. No one would set an array just to tie themselves up. He had placed a 6th grade array, the dividing line between ethereal stage and the rest of the world. With the secular world being made up of people below this line, this showed he did not want them to enter here, only ethereal stage experts. Or maybe only to let his men in. Yeah. Zhuo Fan nodded, his eyes sharp. "In the Chuanrong lands, besides mortals, there's also a sect. Beast-taming sect." The trio cried and Zhuo Fan nodded. "Yes, one can assume this path leads to beast-taming sect. It won't matter to me if there are heaps of experts, not when they all come from a meager lower 3 sect. As for you three, he will be fine. With Sir Zhuo here, nothing can touch us." The sixth prince chuckled without an ounce of shame. Zhuo Fan smiled, "Don't be too happy. I can protect myself, but I can't say the same for dead weights." "What?" The sixth prince scratched his head and Lianer huffed. "Beast-taming sect is watching over the Chuanrong Empire. Why would it harm us when we did nothing wrong? They're also a righteous sect that preaches reason. Yeah, if we meet any from the beast-taming sect, we'll just say we stumbled upon this tunnel, then make our identities known. They should at least give the commander's children some leeway." Tuoba Lufeng nodded. The sixth prince snickered while Zhuo Fan mocked, "Ignorant, have you stopped to think why this tunnel is so hidden? Be it righteous or demonic path, both sides have things to hide. Once someone barges in, killing is the norm, don't you think?" Shuddering, the Tauba siblings paled. Zhuo Fan made fun of them. Only the sixth prince looked at Zhuo Fan in earnest. "We'll have to trust Sir Zhuo to protect us then. Like I said, I can only protect myself." "I don't think so." The sixth prince cocked an eyebrow. "The way I see it, you can do it but just don't want to. I heard that on your way to Double Dragon Manor, you and those 3 girls from Mystical Heaven sect were ambushed by the Universal Righteous sect. But you chose to perish for their sake, helping them escape like a true hero. Sir Zhuo, as your fan, the least I am is well informed." The other two started, looking at Zhuo Fan in shock. They never thought a guy like Zhuo Fan would be so selfless. Pausing, Zhuo Fan recalled that dreaded day of separation and regret clouded his eyes, sighing, "It's fake. If I died for them, then who is standing before you now? Anyway, no one can stop Sir Zhuo when he puts his mind to something. If Sir Zhuo wants to save someone, no one can kill them." Ignoring Zhuo Fan's reply, the sixth prince spoke with respect and pride. Zhuo Fan smiled and sighed. He wasn't a god. If he was so great, he wouldn't fear the likes of Heavenly Sovereign. He wouldn't have had to leave Qingqing. Zhuo Fan's face looked lonely as he thought. Ack! Cries came from deeper into the tunnel. Zhuo Fan's group rushed forward, following the sounds. The 4 arrived at the end and a series of stone doors were presented before them. One door was open just a crack. Slipping from within was the yellow light of a burning candle. Groans were also coming from within, along with heavy panting. The group approached the door and peeked through the gap. They saw a man and a woman entangled, with yuan qi flowing between them. Lianer was still a pure lady, and witnessing such an explicit event had her blushing. As she staggered in shock, she kicked a rock away. "Who's there?" The man roared, twisting his head their way. Lianer gave an apologetic look to Zhuo Fan, forgiving them away, but Zhuo Fan did not care. He opened the stone door wider and strutted in. "Brother, are you finished? I have some questions." "You have some nerve. Who the hell are you people? What gives you the right to barge in my training room?" The man roared. The woman he was entangled with laid on the bed and looked with disdain. Zhuofan had a thin smile. Are you from the beast-taming sect? Is there some special place here with thick spiritual energy especially fit for cultivating? Where the hell did you come from? Who are you to think about my beast-taming sect's precious training grounds? The man sized the four up then mocked, you're either crazy or morons. You want to get to it with so few numbers? You must be suicidal, ha ha ha. The man cackled but Zhuofan shook his head, yeah I came here to die. Since that's the case, can you tell me where it is before we die? Humph, it'll only be a waste to tell you. The man shouted and a leopard shot from his body, charging at the four, die for barging into beast-taming sect. Bam. Zhuofan's eyes shone coldly and a scarlet dragon claw shot from his body, swatting the oversized cat. The feline was destroyed with that one blow, vanishing into nothing. Shuddering, the man stared at Zhuofan in disbelief. Who the hell are you? It'll only be a waste to tell you. Zhuofan's evil grin was on full display. Plop. The man slumped dead with eyes wide open. He died still shocked at how a radiant stage cultivator managed to kill him so fast. Ah. The woman on the bed shrieked seeing the guy dead. Then a shadow flashed and struck the woman. Her eyes rolled back and she slumped dead as well. Looking closer, the attacker was actually the sixth prince. But instead of being his usual overexcited self, he looked on with bloodshot eyes shaking from the hatred and rage. Chapter 8:17, King Among Beasts. Chapter 8:17, King Among Beasts. Proofreader, Papatonks. What's wrong with him? It was the first time anyone saw the sixth prince lose control. The Tauba siblings looked at Zhuofan with a questioning gaze. Zhuofan eyed him, realizing something. Then he turned around and continued walking deeper into the pitch-black tunnel. Leonor caught up, curious, Zhuofan, do you know something we don't? I don't. Then why did the sixth prince strike? To silence her. Go ask him if you want. Zhuofan spoke with a cold face. Leonor pouted and stomped. The sixth prince took a deep breath to calm himself, then went after them. His mood never went back to his cheerful self, actually turning graver than Zhuofan. Leonor was perplexed and dying to know, but Tuoba Lufeng shook his head. Something was definitely up, everyone could see it, but it was not like you could just ask about it. Even if they did, he might not reply. So the better option here was to stay silent and not provoke him. Leonor had to stifle her suspicion for now as the group went forward. They soon reached the end of the tunnel, faced with a pitch-black stone wall. Leonor asked, a dead end? Ha, fool, if it's a dead end, how did that couple get here to enjoy themselves? Besides, with how many rooms there are around, with the guy calling it his training room, it's clear that people come here often to train. Zhuofan mocked. Girlie, did you leave your head outside the cave? You must really have no care for your life, ha. Leonor was fuming mad. Why you? Ignoring her, Zhuofan felt the stone wall and grinned. This is a defensive array just like the one back in Demon Scheming Sect. Without a specific technique of the sect, one just can't get in. What now? We're no beast-taming sect disciples. How could we know the right technique? The sixth prince shouted. Zhuofan ignored him. You sound quite sure this is beast-taming sect's land. Didn't you just say the same thing? And also that guy, the sixth prince showed a bright smile. Snickering, Zhuofan said, it was just a guess, and that guy said he was from the beast-taming sect, not that this is its land. I guessed it then. The sixth prince blurted. Oh, then should we go on? The sixth prince looked hard at Zhuofan. Leonor found it very odd. Zhuofan had been going about looking for something from the start. Why then is he starting to question the sixth prince? Or is it something the sixth prince asked him to find? The sixth prince was the only one who knew Zhuofan's intention. So the sixth prince bowed. I'm accompanying Sir Zhuo to look for what Sir is after. It is at Sir's discretion to continue or not. To me it's nothing while it spells trouble to you. Going back just like that? Hi's brow quivering, the sixth prince pondered then nodded. Everything will go per Sir Zhuo's wishes. As your fan I can only give you my full support. In that case, Zhuofan nodded. The sixth prince stared at the wall with a tense heart. We go on. Zhuofan grinned and came to a decision. The sixth prince was beaming with joy. The Tauba siblings were stumped. What's up with them? Is it Zhuofan looking for something or sixth prince? Ignoring their curious gazes, Zhuofan's left eye flashed with a black thunder flame. It shot straight at the wall. Apocalyptic thunder flame eye. The minute mote of fire exploded into a roaring flame. The tiny flicker of flame looked small, but it exploded the instant it touched the whole wall, covering it in scorching flames. SSS. The black thunder flame licked the wall, with the lightning crackling over it, jarring the ears of those present. The spectators were afraid of it, getting away from it so it would not jump on them and kill them as well. They had no clue what that thing was to give off such dread. Just looking at it was like staring death in the face. The pitch-black wall burned away to reveal a 3-meter-tall exit. Beyond it was a lush forest, mesmerizing and soothing. The thick spiritual energy hit them head-on. It really is beast-taming sex land. With an evil smirk, Zhuofan led them out, happily looking around this paradise. Figured as much, a whirlwind tunnel can be a paradise or hell, but no matter which, no one from the secular world can have it. Only a sect can truly take it for itself. I should have known the minute I got to Chuanrong. The first place to look had to be the beast-taming sect, haha. Zhuofan showed a pleased smile, while the other three were taken in by the glorious sights around them. Bam! A loud sound echoed as two creatures 100 meters tall arrived before them with their claws ready. The trio were startled, paling and crying, 7th grade spiritual beast? And 2 of them? The beast-taming sect was known in the Western lands for their beast-related skills. All the cultivators in Chuanrong also followed a similar path when they trained. They might get to tame the spiritual beast outside, but a 7th grade spiritual beast was beyond them. But in the beast-taming sect, 2 of such creatures appeared, scaring them to death. Only Zhuofan, having seen the true king among beasts, disregarded them. A black flame flashed in his eye as Zhuofan spoke, "Beat it." Shuddering, the 2 spiritual beasts showed dread in their eyes. Then they blacked out and slumped on the ground. Zhuofan's outrageously destructive aura knocked them right out. The others looked at Zhuofan agape. They knew Zhuofan could scare beasts, but now he could knock them out. Just where the hell did he learn this strange beast art? Zhuofan was stunned as well. He only wanted to scare them off, but then they suddenly collapsed. The destructive thunder flame really is beyond the 5 great sacred beast powers, even more effective than the azure flame. He grinned and walked on. He finally felt he was king among beasts. In an ancient and quaint hall, a pale middle-aged man was sitting on a throne. The lines of elders on each side released powerful auras, ethereal stage experts. Looking at the jade slip flashing in his hand, the middle-aged man frowned. The fighting is tense. I thought getting Xia Wui's 1,000 sacred stones was an easy deal, but even with our 50 ethereal elders joining the war against Tianyu, we're still at a standstill. Even worse now that Elder Lane is asking for help. What do you think? One elder shook his head. Sect leader, in the recent years, Tianyu's power has grown beyond anything we've seen. Even without the Empire's 3 guardian sects stepping in, they alone have the strength to not only fight back our 50 ethereal stage experts but even hold the advantage. Another elder stood and bowed. From what I can tell, for us to win, we have to send more men. Bam. Following the loud noise, a buffed man with black beard shot in rage. Humph, send what? The elders and venerables we sent must be heavily wounded if not dead. Sending any more will only mount our casualties. This is a problem between Tianyu and the 3 guardian sections. Xia Wuyue wants to waken those traitors and wants to do it through us. Ren Xiaoyun wants to use the weakened Luo clan to control Tianyu as well. That's why he's holding back and watches from afar. But this is Tianyu's problem. What does it have to do with us? Have you forgotten the bitter lesson from 8 years ago? Tianyu is cunning, twisted and treacherous. Last time they took a large piece of fertile land, cutting our income by half. Are we to do it again? Yeah. That's true. It's best we don't get in other people's business. The other elders nodded. The sect leader crushed the jade slip, hesitating. Was he to send more men or draw them back? He was in a dilemma, trying not to fall for those bastards' plot again. Just then a sound echoed throughout the sect. Chapter 818, Rampaged. Chapter 818, Rampage. Proofreader, Papatonks. Someone broke the sect's defensive array. Sect leader cried out, "Elders and venerables, follow me. Let's see who had the nerve to barge into beast-taming sect." Everyone bowed, "Yes, sir." Sect leader flew out with the elders behind him, leaving an empty and desolate hall in an eerie silence. Stop. Zhuofan had entered the beast-taming sect and was letting the flower spirit lead the way again. His entourage was looking around scared and jittery. But when they saw Zhuofan's laid-back attitude, they sighed. Dude, we're sneaking into another's home, practically like thieves. Can't you act like one? Strolling around like this in their own backyard would get unneeded attention. The only reason we're sticking around is because a 7th-grade spiritual beast can pop up anytime. But you're too damn conspicuous. It's like you're asking to be found. The team barely took a few steps before 2 disciples blocked their path. You arrogant bastards, how dare you barge into beast-taming sect? Who the hell are you? The trio ducked behind their guard. Zhuofan glanced over the 2. You don't know already? Why the useless questions? How are we to know? The 2 started. Pointing at his face, Zhuofan declared, Didn't you call me arrogant bastard? Well, there you have it. Lianer giggled. The 2 disciples roared, You're toying with us? One disciple charged towards Zhuofan at full power. Zhuofan didn't spare him a look, merely punching the air. Bam. The disciple went out in a puff of blood, gone from this world. The other disciple panicked, now realizing the enemy was in the 8th layer radiant stage while the 2 of them were just in the 4th. He did not flee, however, raising his hand. A flaming eagle 2 meters large cried as it made itself known. 6th level spiritual beast, scorching eagle. Lianer cried out. Laughing, the disciple looked smug. Yes, a 6th level spiritual beast, huh? You'd never guess that disciples from the beast-taming sect aren't just cultivating themselves, but paired with spirit animals to display their true power. You may be in the 8th layer, but against a 6th level spiritual beast. Shh. The eagle cried in fear, knocked out cold. Across from it, Zhuofan's left eye flashed with black thunder flame. What? The disciple was dumbstruck, his mind numb as he watched his dear spirit animal. What just happened? A punch came while he was still perplexed, turning him into another bloody mist to feed the grass. Zhuofan looked at the flower spirit in his hand. Which way? Jerking, the spirit looked scared as well, pointing out the right direction. Zhuofan strutted onwards. The Tauba siblings were speechless. They thought Zhuofan had the nerve only out there, but he was on a rampage even in a sect. Only the 6th prince was overjoyed, beaming at Zhuofan's attitude. It went to show Zhuofan had the power to cleave through the beast-taming sect. That's my idol. So awesome, grinning, the prince walked after him, leaving the Tauba siblings to sigh as they dragged their feet. Since we're in this as well, might as well see it through. Zhuofan and company strolled further in, head high, chest out, right in the middle of the beast-taming sect's home. Many disciples came to visit them, but were destined to be reduced to nothing from Zhuofan's bloody welcome. Even as more and more kept coming, Zhuofan had no trouble. It led to an odd feeling of safety for Lianer, despite the brutality surrounding the trio. Tuoba Lufeng, the young commander who had gone through many wars, noticed that despite the danger, it was also followed closely by calmness. This was a mood Zhuofan made. As long as he led the way, they were unaffected whatsoever. He now understood why the Luo clan relied so much on Zhuofan. It can't be that the Luo clan also felt like they were on vacation fighting us in that war 8 years ago, right? That would be so embarrassing. Though there's a high chance it was true. Sighing, Tuoba Lufeng watched the straight back in front. He's deadly to enemies and dependable to his allies. I'd rather be his ally though. Boom. The rumbling never stopped as beast-taming sect disciples kept coming in waves. But the tide was soon followed by stillness as each crumbled to nothing from Zhuofan's punches. It didn't take long for the death count to go up to the thousands. The following disciples now felt fear, staring as Zhuofan's team walked on while they shook back from his path. Whoosh. Beast-taming sect leader, elders and venerables finally arrived. Seeing their disciples in fear, they roared, "What are you doing? Attack, get those thieves." Sect leader, the guy is a monster. We can't do anything to him. He already killed thousands of our brothers and none of them even touched him. It will only end up with all of us dying for nothing. A disciple bowed, reporting his plight. The other disciples nodded. The sect leader looked around at the field of corpses, then at Zhuofan, 2nd layer, 5th layer and 8th layer radiant stage? Then there's a profound heaven cultivator too? You mean to tell me this was all done by those 4? No, sect leader, just him. The rest were hiding behind him. The disciple pointed at Zhuofan in fear. The sect leader frowned, more shocked than ever. Just one man slaughtered my disciples. Oh. What about your spiritual beast? You couldn't do it even when working together? It was better if he hadn't asked. The disciples looked crushed, almost crying. Sect leader, we don't know why, but our spiritual beasts just refuse to come out. They'd rather stay in their rings than fight that guy. They seem afraid. Seriously? The sect leader was stunned, then sized Jua up. He turned to his elders. Take out your spirit animals. See if there's any problem. Haha, sect leader, my spirit animal has been with me for decades and always answers. It's not like those newly tamed beasts the disciples have. The disciples' methods must be lacking. In times like these, it is up to us, their elders, to show them how it's done. Yeah, our sect is expert in rearing spiritual beasts. But I see the new generation don't train too hard anymore, making our sect look bad. It seems we'll have to set these twerps straight, haha. The oldies were so smug even before their pets came out. The disciples were silent, not like they could complain. Sect leader was annoyed. Getting the enemy is more important. Elders, the one to capture this kid will definitely be remembered. Hehehe, no worries, sect leader. My 7th grade spiritual beast, Flaming Cloud Tiger, will take him down. He's just a radiant stage cultivator. One elder mocked as he shouted, Flaming Cloud Tiger, come out. No response. The people watched his valiant pose, yet there was no pet to answer his call to duty. Fuck. Face twitching hard, everyone sighed. Of course it won't come. Some disciples even snickered. Getting flustered, the elder looked embarrassed while the sect leader frowned. What's going on here? Has beast taming sect's main power just died out? That means this group is specifically here to target us. They even prepared countermeasures. Though he still did not know the reason behind it. Chapter 8:19, just 200. Chapter 8:19, just 200. Proofreader, Papatonks. Ha, old coot, did your boast go bust at last? Seeing him standing there with no trusty spiritual beast in sight, another elder just had to make use of this perfect chance to mock him. Talk about handling the kid when you can't even handle your pet. It seems to me we ought to start straightening you up first. Why you? The elder glared at the speaker. But that man stuck out his chin. So you have had your spirit animal with you for decades. Well, I have had one for a century. 7th grade spiritual beast, Ice Cap Leopard. We've worked together for so long, it's practically human. Allow me to show you how it's truly done. This is how you work with a spirit animal. With a smug grin, the old guy flicked his wrist and pointed his ring at Juefan. Ice Cap Leopard, bite his head off. The ring clearly showed a reaction, then it died out. Awkward. The old man froze in his grand pose, though there was not a hair of his pet around to complete his act. The first elder who made a fool of himself just had to be petty and laugh at his misfortune. Old fool, weren't you just mocking me? Look at you and your century-old relic, it still left you high and dry. The victim here had his eyes turned bloodshot and glared in silence. Sect leader was becoming agitated, speaking to the rest, you all try as well, see what happens. Everyone summoned their faithful beasts, just that all their beasts chose this particular moment to ignore the summons. All the elders kept flicking their rings around and hoped their pets would come out at some point. Much good did that do. Not a single creature answered the owner's call of duty, choosing the safety of the ring instead. Everyone cried out in disbelief. Using spiritual beasts to fight was beast taming sect's specialty. The name said it all. Not using their spiritual beasts was like cutting their arms, reducing their power by half. Such an event was a complete disaster for this sect. Sect leader? An elder panicked. Sect leader raised his hand to stop him, roaring at Juefan, boy, did you do something? What's going on here? You better talk sense or... Haha, it couldn't be simpler. With an evil smirk, the black thunder flame ignited in Juefan's left eye. You're standing before the king among beasts. No spiritual beast dares to face me under the fear of death. Is that clear enough for you? All the people shuddered. King among beasts? The spiritual beasts were divided into grades, though there weren't many called kings. Be that as it may, none of them could instill such fear into a spiritual beast as to make it cower in its ring. That went double for a spirit animal that had been trained for years among people. It would hardly ever cower against another spiritual beast's threatening aura, to say nothing of not coming out at all. Also, he's not human to call himself a king among beasts. How were they to know Juefan's abominable thunder flame was made up of 4 sacred beast powers combined? It was simply specifically made to target spiritual beasts. The coming of the thunder flame spelled certain doom. So, Any spiritual beast with self-preservation instincts chose to stay away. Boy, take your lies elsewhere. King among beasts? As if. Sect leader stared at Zhuofan. Talk, who are you and why have you barged into my sect? What deviant trick are you using on our spirit animals to lose our control? Cocking his head, Zhuofan snickered. You want to know the secret? Well, too bad it's mine and I'm not telling. As for who I am. Zhuofan glanced at the sixth prince behind, who knew when to keep silent and fade into the background. Chuckling, Zhuofan turned to sect leader. I'm not telling you. Though there's no harm in informing you of my reason. I heard you have some paradise here and plan on borrowing it for a couple of days. Borrow? Are you having a death wish coming before a full moon? Full moon? Zhuofan pondered. The sect leader mocked. Haha, so you only know that we have a special area but not its details. Not that it matters since I never planned on lending you anything. For charging into my sect, you shall never leave this place alive. My, how confident, Zhuofan taunted. Sect leader's smile turned savage. And you're overconfident, boy. You might have countered our beasts, but don't think for a second my sect is defenseless without them. We have over 200 ethereal stage experts here. 200? Not bad for a lower 3 sect, though doable. Zhuofan grinned. What else did you want me to say, sect leader? You just gave me an assurance, haha. I twitching, the sect leader snapped. Curses, boy. You're just a radiant stage cultivator yet you mock us so? Elders, bring him to me alive. I will make him regret the day he was born. I'll make him pay the price for disregarding the beast-taming sect. Yes, sir. An elder bowed and charged at Zhuofan. A flash of gold revealed a 100-meter-tall golden tiger coming at Zhuofan with its maw open. Haha, any radiant stage cultivator is useless against an ethereal stage expert. I can handle you even without a pet. Whoosh. A huge dragon claw came out from Zhuofan's back in a flash of scarlet, grabbing the oversized feline. The cocky elder halted in his tracks from shock. Teeth. My soul. Grinning, Zhuofan said, yes, a radiant stage cultivator is futile going against an ethereal stage expert, a shame that doesn't apply to me. With a crumbling sound, the dragon claw crunched the golden dragon to dust. The elder looked on in fear, dying with a horrified expression. SSS. Everyone else gasped in shock. He has a soul, a really strong one at that. He can kill an expert's soul in an instant. No average soul can do that. Who the hell is he? Sect leader stared at Zhuofan with wide eyes, his lip quivering. Who are you? Used to be a guest, but now? Zhuofan's eyes flashed. With a mighty roar, the almighty Scarlet Dragon King came out in all its glory, releasing its entire aura. Haha, now I'm your doom. Heaven Dragon Soul? Why your demon scheming sex, Zhuofan? Sect leader cried out, making the others shudder and falter. They were lost and wary. Didn't the demon scheming sect tell them that after Zhuofan betrayed the sect, the universal righteous sect helped them by destroying him? Why was the dead star of Double Dragon Gathering, the new and brief best disciple of Western lands, barging into beast-taming sect? None here could figure out why, not even sect leader. Though one thing was certain, this was no social visit. Squinting, sect leader took a deep breath to calm himself. Zhuofan, I haven't yet gotten around to paying you for destroying my team of disciples at the Double Dragon Gathering. Now I see you came here of your own free will. Humph, the universal righteous sect didn't take your life, actually giving this chance to the beast-taming sect. This is providence, helping us take revenge and bring rest to the spirits of our late disciples. Yeah, a superior 3 sect couldn't kill me, so what could a puny lower 3 sect possibly do to threaten me? Zhuofan mocked. Sect leader's brow twitched. Zhuofan, enough of your arrogance. Who knows how you escaped the universal righteous sect's pursuit, but now, in beast-taming sect's home, there are 200 ethereal stage experts surrounding you. You're finished? Haha, my words exactly, just 200. Shut up. What only, are you mocking the beast-taming sect? Humph, I'll show you the true might of our sect. Glaring at him, sect leader shouted as he gave the order, attack. Kill him. Yes, sir. With mighty roars the elders charged. The 200-plus ethereal stage experts' auras slammed into Zhuofan, stilling his breath. Lianer panicked inside. Zhuofan could handle one, but 200. Zhuofan had a constant sneer on his face, charging as well and clashing with the enemy. The elders were stunned, just as something black flashed and Zhuofan was now wielding a black longsword as it was brought down on them. Chapter 820, Perfect Harmony. Chapter 820, Perfect Harmony. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. The pitch-black edge flashed like lightning in their vision. The elders had no time to react as it mowed through 8 of them, spilling guts and blood into the air. Not even their souls escaped, destroyed along with their bodies from the black blade. The beast-taming sect in its entirety was shell-shocked, and the wave of elders stood there overwhelmed. Zhuofan and his blade was all that was reflected in their eyes. Haha, told you so, just 200 ethereal stage experts. A lower 3 sect can only get so strong without a soul harmony expert around. Snickering, Zhuofan taunted the sect leader, beast-taming sect's leader, tell me I'm wrong. Sect leader's face twitched as he stared at Zhuofan's smug look. That blatant disregard was getting to him so much, he felt his blood rising. But more than that, he was simply overcome with shock from having 8 ethereal stage experts killed like that, something no average ethereal stage expert could do. Is he even a disciple? They knew that the superior 3 sects' disciples, especially the core ones, were much stronger than the lower 3 sects' venerables and elders. The problem with Zhuofan wasn't one of power, but being on another level entirely. Killing ethereal stage experts so easily was not something anyone could do. But he... Sect leader's eyes trembled as sweat trickled down his brow. Freak. Sect leader, he came first in the double dragon gathering. He's no pushover. Shouldn't we just settle it peacefully? One elder tried as he neared sect leader. We know his goal and it just ain't so hard to accommodate. Let's just... Bullshit. Sect leader snapped in rage. And what about the name of beast-taming sect? What will become of us once word gets out a mere traitorous disciple of demon-scheming sect ran amok within our own home? But... Enough. Sect leader waved him off. He's one man. How strong can he be anyway? Everyone release your souls, we're going to stall him until he breaks. They all cupped their fists and bowed at his order. Yes, sect leader. The sky reverberated from all the roars that followed as all kinds of beast souls littered the heavens, with Zhuofan's team in the middle. Lianer felt like she was in the middle of a horde. The power these souls gave out crushing her chest, their eyes filled with the desire to swallow them whole. Only Zhuofan was laid back. Top profound ranked combination art, Song of Paradise. 2 elders led the charge, making signs as they made their souls go for Zhuofan. The 2 large beast souls were 100 meters tall. One was covered in green flames, the other had a crimson glow. The 2 birds revolved around each other until they became a red and green fire tornado. This was a combination attack, not the kind those random attacks from before could compare with. Even Zhuofan frowned, holding the sword tighter in his grip. Venerables Hu Yin and Jia Hu's combined art. A person cried out, filled with hope. The 2 venerables are in the 6th layer and they're always so close to each other like one person. This combined attack is as strong as 10 6th layer ethereal stage experts. No matter how strong he is, he can't block such a flawless attack. An approval came from the crowd. Sect leader was grinning now. Zhuofan only got to kill 8 in the first attack because his men went at him without coordination, far weaker than what these 2 venerables were doing. The boy will be heavily wounded and then humph. Squinting, sect leader grinned just as the fire tornado exploded on contact with Zhuofan. The sky took on a red hue, making everyone gasp at the sheer might of the shockwave. Lianer was the closest and could feel the scorching heat suck all the moisture out of the air, shaking her heart. How would Zhuofan fare against such an attack? 6th Prince's brow shook, staring intently at the aftermath while his heart thumped hard in his chest. Rumble. The fierce flames reached high into the sky. There were 2 distinct shapes of birds spinning around in the inferno, acting like a large furnace, to refine Zhuofan alive. The 2 venerable signs changed. Sect leader, we have the boy trapped. He will be burned to ashes in a few minutes. It's best if Sir lets the elders go back. It's not worth wasting time on a disciple, ha. Venerables are amazing. I won't ever forget what you did today. Sect leader smiled. The 2 smiled, it's nothing, it's ugh. The 2 shook and slumped dead. Venerables, what's wrong? Sect leader shouted in fright. A shockwave was his only answer as the fireball was split in 2 perfect halves. The 2 bird souls fell from the fire, also cut in 2 like the flames. They faded away slowly, returning to the skies. Zhuofan held his sword as he walked out with a smile. Not bad at all. Even the souls were good. A shame nothing works when faced against me, ha ha ha. Startled, Everyone turned to Zhuo Fan. The two venerables were among the best beast-taming sect had to offer. Yeah. Zhuo Fan, you've gone too far. Sect leader shouted, pointing at him, attack, use wave tactics and kill him. Roar. The people shouted as they settled on attacking as a whole. The sky was filled with souls, drawing closer and tightening like a net, all to take Zhuo Fan down. Even he would have to have a hard time fighting so many at once. A gap might form in his defense that would let someone strike a heavy blow. It was common knowledge that there was strength in numbers. Zhuo Fan might have been tense before, but not this time around. With a sign, a draconic roar echoed and the still almighty Scarlet Dragon King shifted. Golden flames lit up all over it and it turned the Heaven Dragon Soul into its strongest variant, decimating Golden Heaven Dragon King. Receiving the decimating golden flame, Zhuo Fan now knew how to turn the Heaven Dragon Soul into its fifth form. This form exploded in power. As the horde of souls were getting closer, the golden dragon roared and released a torrent of golden flames from its wide maw. Half the sky took a golden hue from the flames' brilliant display, as if there was a wall in place. Some overexcited souls had no time to stop and went right into the golden flames. Their bodies shook and wailed as their weak souls were burned to nothing. The rest were shocked and made their souls stop the attack. More than 100 souls were now watching the huge golden flames. On the other side, Zhuo Fan grinned and attacked with the demonic sword. In a flash of golden flames, Zhuo Fan appeared in the middle of those souls, relishing in the slaughter as he reaped souls with every slash and hack. The souls wanted to attack, but moments later he broke the encirclement again. When they wanted to chase, the golden dragon blocked them with its fire breath. The man and dragon worked in perfect harmony to cull the opposition. The decimating golden flame was a fierce and brutal flame. Zhuo Fan had his body remade by the dragon ancestor and his speed had grown as well. All the others could catch was his shadow as he darted around, having harvested dozens of poor souls already. And every time some got close to surround him, the golden dragon would spew flames. Zhuo Fan and the dragon soul worked to chip away at their numbers, one soul at a time while they could do nothing. More than 100 experts watched helplessly as Zhuo Fan's death toll reached 50. They were dumbstruck at how this man worked so well with his soul to toy around the 200 enemies. While the previous two venerables were experts in a combined art, Zhuo Fan and the dragon were relying on tactics, taking care to plug every weakness while taking the enemy down. Looking from another angle, the 200 people's pointless efforts at catching one guy only to end up losing instead had the disciples of beast-taming sect in despair and regret. Even the sect leader looked to be crying. This had got to be fate. Using heavy numbers against one guy only to be suffering in the end? Chapter 821, Abyssal Swamp. Chapter 821, Abyssal Swamp. Proofreader, Papatonks. Ack. The skies were filled with the cries of those dying. Zhuo Fan wielded the demonic sword like a certified reaper, taking life after life in his hunt for beast-taming sect ethereal stage experts, all while the enemy was panicking. Every time the enemy even tried mounting a counterattack, the golden dragon would step in with its fire breath. It was akin to David and Goliath, with the expectation here being that the giant had its arms and legs stuck, letting the tiny guy peel away. The sect had all that power yet it was unable to put it to use. How were they supposed to know he had a crowd control skill? They all looked helpless, while Zhuo Fan was bouncing around the battlefield for more lives to take. The golden flame wall was just too tough to crack. Sect leader, we've got heavy casualties. It has only been half an hour and yet 100 ethereal stage experts are dead. We can't keep doing this or we'll all die. An elder reported in panic, pleading all the while. Sect leader gnashed his teeth. Why can't all the power beast taming sect employ deal with just one damn brat? Sect leader, he's just that strong with hardly anyone his match. Also, a venerable bowed, our power is based on our beasts. The sect might have fewer experts but by working with our spirit animal, we double our power, no less stronger than the demon scheming sect. But in this current situation, our spirit animals are rendered useless by the enemy's devious tricks. They are scared to death and won't come out. This is the real reason why we can't do anything. So, sect leader looked at him, what are you trying to say? Sect leader, in this situation we can't use all our potential. Stepping down won't be a disgrace. Our image will stand. Bullshit. Sect leader cursed, you're saying it's fine for brats to barge into a great sect? Spirit animals aside, we have more than 200 experts here, yet we still failed? No matter how you look at it, the rumors will be anything but pretty. The man jerked but still muttered, Sect leader, what then? Does Sir want to lose everyone? As the wailing continued in the background and the stage took a more and more pronounced red hue as body parts were flung away, Sect leader took a deep breath with a tightened frown. What do I do? Give up and let some brat conquer a sect? We'll become the laughingstock of Western lands. Sect leader. As he was stuck in a conundrum, another shout came and the newcomer's eyes flashed. Isn't the crescent pool in the abyssal swamp? As long as we trap him inside, no matter how strong he is, he'll end up as bleached bones. Let's draw him there then. Sect leader's eyes lit up, he nodded and grinned. Ha, great. Didn't he want to go to our Eden? Then let him become its fertilizer. Though we will need a proper bait for a monster like him. Eyes flashing, sect leader glanced over. Zhuofan was still having a field day, killing all over the place. Just 1,000 meters behind him, 3 weaklings stood. Frowning, sect leader said, I found our bait. Since they came with the kid, they must be connected. But which among them is the most effective? Sect leader, why not get all 3? 3? Yes. The man whispered in sect leader's ear, to which he nodded and grinned. We'll do just as you said. The man bowed and went to work. In the meantime, Zhuofan's kill count only grew, the situation developing completely opposite of when he faced the universal righteous sect. He was relaxed and fast, with the ethereal stage experts unable to surround him. Adding to that was the strongest soul's help, decimating Golden Heaven Dragon King. He had been fighting for so long yet not one attack reached him. The slaughter was completely one-sided. Scared by this development, the other side's mounting casualties forced them to withdraw, making the battle shift further away as Zhuofan and his dragon soul were chasing them. Sixth Prince and the Tauba siblings ducked in a forest, looking at the chaos. That's my idol, beating beast-taming sect by himself. What do you guys think, will Sir Zhua kill them all? With his nasty temper? It's more than likely. Tuoba Lufeng paused then nodded. I used to think he was a strong and shrewd marshal, but his strength is beyond anything I've seen. And it's only been 8 short years. If he returns to Tianyu, then I swear to never battle Tianyu in this life. The sixth prince nodded, all excited. Only Lianer's mind was elsewhere as her cheeks turned rosy. Whoosh! 3 white-haired elders appeared behind them just then, grabbing them by the throat. You! Sixth prince cried out, only to be choked as the elder covered his mouth. Even with Zhuofan so far away, he was still aware enough for the cry to reach his ears. Zhuofan shook and stopped his chase. Turning around, he saw 3 panicking looks and the elders' panicked faces. He spotted us. Run. The elders turned away with their hostages. Sect leaders shouted and the men surrounding Zhuofan scattered. Baiting? Zhuofan frowned and called the dragon soul back to him. He now understood why they were falling back while he pushed on. It was all to distance him from the trio and capture them. Though they miscalculated. Do they really think I care? While the trio were getting further and further away, sect leader was gloating. Zhuofan, if you want them alive, follow me. Sect leader left. But I don't dash, ha. Zhuofan saw nobody around him for miles and scratched his head. There was no point in doing that. They came here by themselves. It has nothing to do with me. I haven't the slightest inclination to fall for your trap for them. Zhuofan pondered, then came to a decision. Their business, their problems. Knock yourselves out. Zhuofan ignored everything and looked at the flower spirit. Point the way to your birthplace. Afraid of Zhuofan, the spirit pointed to Zhuofan's right where all people fled. Zhuofan went that way too, but only because the paths intersected. Whoosh! Half an hour later, in a place filled with flowers, a stone platform a meter wide with 3 pillars lay in the center, a thing of beauty. Sect leader landed first on the platform, while the rest appeared just shy of the field of flowers. Did those elders come back? Sect leader shouted. Everyone shook their heads. Sighing, sect leader asked, what of Zhuofan is he chasing? Another round of shaking heads. That puzzled him greatly. Doesn't he want to save those 3? It can't be. They came here together, so they have to be close. Just then 3 people and the elders returned. Sect leader lit up. Tie them to the pillars, hurry. We'll be trapping him soon. Yes, sir. The elders laughed and did as ordered. Hee, the punk's done for. One elder snickered while tying his hostage. Sixth prince glared and kicked his stomach. A bunch of shameless old rats dare to trick Sir Zhua? Bam. The kicked elder was caught off guard and the kick folded him, right as he fell in the field of flowers. Everyone panicked. Look out! Chapter 822, Gemini Shell. Chapter 822, Gemini Shell. Proofreader, Papatonks. The elder that fell in the field of flowers froze in place. But even so, his joy was long gone, now replaced by an ashen face. He then slowly floated while watching the flowers beneath him with a sweaty brow and fearful eyes. The others sighed in relief seeing him come out. "Goddamn brat, you almost killed me." The elder that almost fell slapped the sixth prince hard in anger. Bleeding from the mouth, the sixth prince glared in defiance and hatred. For some odd reason, the elder felt a deep-seated hatred coming from the sixth prince. So much so he wanted to end the brat then and there. He realized the primal fury in the boy's eyes could not be overcome. So it was better to get rid of him now just to be on the safe side. But he held himself back. He couldn't just kill his hostage, that wouldn't do. Sect leader pondered, cover their mouths before they let something slip and ruin everything. Yes, sect leader. The elder eyed the sixth prince and tapped his neck. The prince still glared in hatred. The other two were dealt with as well. Sect leader eased up, then told someone to scout. Moments later he returned. Sect leader, he's coming. He took the bait at last, ha. Sect leader flicked his hand, hide, don't let him find you. The men scattered, though extremely careful to not get too close to the field of flowers. The hostages shared a glance, knowing this was a trap for Zhuofan. They were still thinking the best way to let Zhuofan know when the guy was already here, just across from the field of flowers. Squinting, sect leader snickered on the platform as he pointed at his hostages. Zhuofan, did you finally come to save them? Nope. Since you do, sect leader thought it'd be an obvious yes and took a long time for his brain to process the refusal. He cried out, eh? What do you mean nope? The anxious hostages were looking stumped at Zhuofan. Bro Zhuo, maybe you blurted that out without thinking. Why don't you try that answer again? Sect leader tensed. Zhuofan, there's no rush to reply. They're your closest friends. Says who? Ugh. Sect leader continued, perplexed, or at least friends. Says who? Zhuofan scratched his head, not giving a damn as usual. Sect leader's face twitched as he shouted, then what are you anyway? You definitely can't be strangers since you want to save them. There's practically nothing between us actually. I've only seen two of them a couple of times, while the third I've only known him for a day. Zhuofan looked stone cold at sect leader. Did you really think there was something going on? They followed me in here for their own reasons. We're nothing more than strangers on the same road. Twitching, sect leader was fuming mad. Then why are you here if not to save them? Saving them never even crossed my mind. Zhuofan shook his head holding out the flower spirit. Didn't I tell you, I'm looking for your cultivation paradise. I have a flower spirit here that came from there. I'm just following its directions. So you can kidnap them without a worry from me. I won't bother you. Sect leader almost spurted blood. He didn't give a damn about the hostages, making their painstaking efforts go up in smoke. The guy only came to their precious area to set up a drawing array. What was the point of using fancy tricks anyway? Sect leader facepalmed. The hostages were even more shocked. Now they knew they were nothing to Zhuofan, not worth even a save. The trio were crushed. How can you be so cold? We journeyed together. Zhuofan looked around then at sect leader. This must be the place I was searching for. You must have laid an ambush as well, I bet. So to make sure nothing disturbs my concentration later, it's best to remove all the variables. Zhuofan's eyes turned cold and shot for sect leader. Wait, don't you care if they die? I have hostages here. Sect leader cried out. Snickering, Zhuofan continued, are you deaf? You call those hostages? Whoosh. In a pitch-black glow, Zhuofan's hand was now holding the demonic sword and slashed. Sect leader panicked as he dodged. Whoosh. The pitch-black blade went through the stone platform and the three pillars broke. The hostages cried out in shock, but their covered mouths blocked the sounds. Then the pillars knocked into each other and suddenly stopped. The trio eased a breath. Just witnessing an ethereal stage expert showing such fear to those flowers made them realize it was best to avoid it too. This act of Zhuofan confirmed that he didn't give a damn about their lives. Sect leader was regretting it now. The bait was useless. A golden glow came from Zhuofan's feet and his speed spiked. Sect leader shook in fear and released his soul, a red and blue shell. It was 10 meters wide, just like a shield, as it blocked Zhuofan. Gemini shell? Zhuofan squinted and slashed and cut the shell in two. But as it split, the shell turned into vanishing lights. That's quite a rare beast soul. Zhuofan looked below to see sect leader fleeing with all he had. Grinning, Zhuofan shot after him. Haha, Gemini shell is a rare illusory beast soul. I wonder just how you managed to form it in this lonely mountain range. They say that each time this soul appears, one is false while the other is real. The real one won't appear until the fake one is destroyed. It can be a sort of barrier that helps attack and hide. But to make the fake part, a huge amount of yuan qi is needed. I wonder how long you'll last, Humph. Shit. The Gemini shell never appeared in Western lands, so how the hell do you know it better than I do? Sect leader cursed. Zhuofan snickered. I've been around. Mountain destroyer. Zhuofan flashed in front of sect leader and slashed. Sect leader shook and released a shell to defend, while he himself vanished behind it. Smirking, Zhuofan hacked and the shell was no more. But this time he let the blade slash all the way into the field of flowers. Zhuofan shook and cried out. Was this their trap? He felt the sword was stuck in a quagmire. There was a pop behind him and a violent kick shoved him further in, completely into the field of flowers. The flowers moved like waves on a sea. Zhuofan struggled to get out, but something black was holding him and dragging him deeper. He wanted to fly, but nothing he did worked. Above him, beast-taming sect leader cackled like mad. Haha, you dumb brat, got you now. Didn't you want to see our Eden? This is it. Any that enters the abyssal swamp, regardless of their power, can't come out. You may be the bloody first in double dragon gathering, killing so many of my elders, but now you're finished. Zhuofan frowned, his face stern as he looked below. Chapter 823, Rock Bottom. Chapter 823, Rock Bottom. Proofreader, Papatonks. Bubbles of air floated above while Zhuofan sank. He found himself surrounded by them, all going towards the surface. His clothing was dissolving under his eyes, as if he was in some kind of vat of acid. With the swamp being caustic now, I'll be next if it keeps dragging me down. Zhuofan finally turned serious, struggling to get out of this stuff. The swamp wasn't just caustic, but extremely invasive. The minute he touched the swamp, it stuck to him like glue. To make matters worse, the sludge seeped into his skin and went through his meridians to seal his yuan qi. All his struggle was in vain as he just flopped about and sunk further in. Sect leader cackled smug. Ha, damn brat, keep your schemes to yourself. There has never been anyone who managed to escape the swamp. So be good and let it take you to the bottom and push up daisies from hereafter. The hostages saw Zhuofan struggling and panicked. All their cries were muffled by the covers and couldn't reach him. Do you really think some swamp can hold me? Half already in the quagmire, Zhuofan snickered. Sect leader of the beast-taming sect, don't lump me in with those fools that end up dead because of your plans. You are nothing. A ripple echoed out as he finished. Sect leader shook and looked tensely at Zhuofan. One thing was certain, what kind of normal radiant stage cultivator could surpass an ethereal stage expert? He was very wary of Zhuofan's power, going as far as overestimate it than look down on it. No matter how confident he was in that swamp, he was still nervous if it could hold someone like Zhuofan. He stared at Zhuofan with a frown, ready to act if needed be. He would make sure to kick him and stop any attempt at escaping. The minute the freak got out, his sect was doomed. Sect leader's hands were sweaty. Divine Eye of the Void's first stage shift. Zhuofan's eyes shone golden as he snickered. The sludge blocked his yuan qi, but Divine Eye of the Void used the soul to work. He just had to swap places and he'd be a-okay. Space warped around Zhuofan, making sect leader even more tense, not knowing what he had planned but ready to strike at a moment's notice. Bam. And that was it. The ripple formed but popped in the end without even taking Zhuofan with it. Zhuofan's pride in Divine Eye of the Void was crushed. This can't be. Zhuofan cried out in utter shock. Looking inside his mind, he saw the sludge seeping in there as well. Even the Heaven Dragon's soul couldn't shake that thing off no matter how it flayed around. His soul was sealed as well now. Zhuofan was stumped, looking at the pitch-black sludge around him with utter confusion. What is this thing? There's no way the mortal domain can have something this weird. Maybe. Zhuofan recalled Dragon Ancestor's words. Whirlwind tunnel connected the sacred domain, so maybe something slipped through from the sacred domain. Frowning, Zhuofan lamented. What a blunder, and it's all because the beast-taming sect is a lower 3 sect. I never dreamed it possible for their secret domain to be so different from Ultimate Clarity sects. Ultimate Clarity sect's realm was paradise for cultivators, while he was now here sinking into hell. Both of these spaces were all at the level of sacred domain. That meant that even a saint would be having a hard time with this sludge. Zhuofan lamented and shook his head while the earth took him. Sect leader laughed at this surprise. Ha, rotten punk, you're nothing but a show-off. Where's your cockiness now? You almost scared me for a second there. I really thought you could get away, but you're just running your mouth. You're still just a mortal in the end. How can you escape my sect's abyssal swamp? Zhuofan fell silent as he sank further in, until his head was covered as well. All that remained were bubbles popping, the only sign Zhuofan was there, beneath the surface. Lianer shouted all this time, even as no sound reached him. The three had fought against their bonds with all their might, to no avail. The bubbles thinned and soon stopped. The brat is a goner now. The sect leader saw the swamp stilled and grinned. Everyone, I killed that punk. Come back. Whoosh. People came from all directions, the elders of beast-taming sect. Seeing their calamity, Zhuofan had been swallowed by the mire. They were overjoyed and flattered sect leader. Sect leader is the greatest. His plans are flawless, ha. Sect leader, since we killed demon scheming sect's greatest traitor, shouldn't it pay for our efforts? Yeah, sect leader. For dealing with demon scheming sect's problems, we should get 1,000 more sacred stones. We've suffered too many losses. Of the 200 ethereal stage experts, we only have half left. Everyone reacted, yes, that's right. Yes, that's how it should be. My sect's losses will be compensated by demon scheming sect. Sect leader nodded, but first, full moon is almost upon us in 3 days. It's the time for our sect's monthly crescent pool baptism. You all know that the day when the moon is brightest, this will turn into the clearest pond with thick spiritual energy. Training inside will make it far more effective than outside. We can't miss it once. That is why the talks with demon scheming sect shall be put on hold for 3 days. They all cupped their hands. Yes, sect leader. Sect leader, what about those 3 brats? One elder pointed at the pillars. Sect leader eyed the mournful trio and snickered. Take them for now and look into them. We'll deal with them afterwards. Yes, sect leader. The elder bowed and left with the hostages. Everyone left, leaving sect leader all alone. He looked at the still quagmire one last time with a smile. Zhuofan, no matter how tough you are, even after escaping Universal Righteous Sect, you actually fell here in the beast-taming sect, ha. Sect leader was gone as well. He left just as the still quagmire began to bubble up, stronger and stronger. Demon transformation art. Deep below, at the very bottom, surrounded as he was by the thick sludge, Zhuofan opened his eyes. Black energy came out of his body and had the sludge spun around like a tornado as he sucked it in. Inside his mind, even as black from the sludge as it was, began to act as well. The heaven dragon soul shook and turned into the heaven-devouring demonic dragon king. With a roar, it gathered all the sludge around it and made it vanish in the black energy. Zhuofan and the dragon soul worked together to suck the swamp dry, acting like a bottomless hole. Demon transformation art could convert anything in the world. Let's see which is stronger, the swamp's corrosiveness or this demon emperor's demonic art, humph. Grinning, Zhuofan's eyes flashed. Chapter 824, Lunar Peak. Chapter 824, Lunar Peak. Proofreader, Papatonks. As the sun set on the 3rd day, the cover of night swallowed the last traces of twilight as it heralded the moon's brightest peak. Beast-taming sect's higher-ups returned to the edges of Crescent Pool. Sect leaders stood on the stone platform, awaiting the night to settle in with a smile. Elders and venerables will soon be able to enjoy the purifying water. But first we shall address the 3 brats that invaded our sect 3 days ago. Sect leader looked at his people as he spoke, settling in on one elder. The elder waved and 2 disciples brought the 3 hostages forward. The 6th prince looked around with malice. Lianer and her brother looked afraid. Tuoba Lufeng was deeply regretting coming here. He should have just taken his sister and left. Now that they were in the beast-taming sect, they were done for. Grinning, sect leader spoke. Who are you? Where do you come from? The trio was silent. Haha, keep your silence then. I already had you investigated anyway. Sect leader turned to his elders. From Elder Chai's investigation, they have entered via the secret tunnel by breaking its arraign. What? Everyone looked stunned, then their faces fell. Pa. One elder stomped, his eyes filled with bloodthirst. That means Chuanrong knew about that tunnel? That inept ruler knows what we've done in his lands through the years? I wager it's sooner than that, just that he was faking it. But now that cover is blown, haha. Sect leader smiled. Not only Chuanrong's humiliation will come to light, but also the beast-taming sect's image will take a huge blow. If Double Dragon Manor catches wind of it, that an empire's guardian sect. Then make sure it never gets out. The elder spat before sect leader finished. Didn't Zhuo Fan pop up in Chuanrong? We'll just have to remove all that know of this and just dump it on his head. This bastard has committed such atrocities, killing and pillaging, before he was finally put down, haha. The other nodded, their minds set. Sixth Prince was outraged. Damn hypocrites, stooping so low yet not even having the nerve to own it. What's laughable is that you preach yourself to be a righteous sect. Serge was a saint by comparison. One day you'll get yours in the worst way imaginable. Beast-taming sect will be crossed out from Western Land's 9 sects. Pa. An elder slapped him. What can a filthy bastard like you possibly do? Humph. Sixth Prince spat the blood in his mouth, his eyes bloodshot, his face a mask of rage at how weak he was. The man snickered in disdain. Lianer was confused. What's going on here? What's so special about that tunnel? Why would you go as far as killing all who know of it? Even His Majesty Father and whole court. Lianer. Tuoba Lufeng shouted over her, hinting her with his eyes. Clueless as he was about the tunnel, one thing was obvious, it was beast-taming sect's taboo. Any that knew of it would have one ending, certain death, and the Emperor was most definitely included. Now he realized why His Majesty was so nervous. Sect leader mocked, "Oh? Here I thought you came here knowing, but you're just as clueless. We don't know anything, nor do Father and the rest. Please don't drag them into this." Lianer pleaded. All she got for her efforts was mockery. Sixth Prince sighed, finally turning serious for once in his life. Miss Lianer, these pricks are savages. It doesn't matter if the tunnel was found, just by being close they'll end up being killed. This is the disaster befalling Chuanrong that none can escape. Right you are. Sect leader snickered. Any and all related to this will be silenced for good. Sect leader spoke such hair-raising words with a smile, making the trio feel he was a demon from hell. Lianer's face fell and crumbled. That means Father and everyone. Tuoba Lufeng sighed, feeling just as dejected. Only Sixth Prince closed his eyes, having seen it coming. This gamble was lost. Sergio could have won if these degenerates hadn't fooled him. So close. Sixth Prince lamented. Sect leader sneered and turned to look at the night sky. The full moon hung above, bathing the swamp in its gentle glow. It was as if the moon was cleansing the sludge, breaking it away and transforming into a clear pool of impeccable beauty. The trio watched this spectacle in awe. The thick spiritual energy that came after stunned them, feeling as the yuan qi within moved 3 times as fast. Haha, Crescent Pool is here. Sect leader laughed. These flowers are an abyssal swamp normally, deadly to anyone that comes near, but once the full moon comes out, it turns into Crescent Pool, a paradise for cultivation. Cultivating here for one day equals a year outside. Only nature could give birth to such a marvel, haha. Everyone nodded, looking excited. Sect leader, time waits for no one. This is more important than a wedding night. Let's go in and train. Sect leader nodded and took the lead to jump in. Wait, sect leader, what about those 3? Someone pointed at the hostages. Snickering, sect leader glanced over. Each time the full moon came, we always cultivated alone. How do you think we'd fare if we dual cultivate? Their eyes lit up, showing repulsive smiles. Sect leader is wise. That'll be even faster, haha. Girly, you're in luck. You're about to bring joy to sect leader, hee. An elder clutched Lianer's neck and threw her at sect leader. Lianer cried out while the other 2 hostages cursed. Is that how the sect leader of the righteous beast-taming sect acts, resorting to these vile acts? Let go of my sister before words get out how rotten your sect is. Beast-taming sect is nothing but a mob of degenerates who dissolute women. Even the glorious sect leader is reduced to a disgusting pig, so what can be said about their image? The 2 kept cursing in anger. The elders laughed. Sect leader held Liener in his embrace, righteous image? What can any of them amount to when enough clout gives you both? You think you'll have the chance to leak this? Haha, just like the tunnel, all will go as I say it will. If I say I'm right house, that's what I am. What could dead people possibly do? Humph, how naive. Tuoba Lufeng and Sixth Prince's brow shook and they gnashed their teeth. Missy, let's enjoy cultivating, haha. With a positively repugnant smile, sect leader's dirty hand traced Liener's soft cheek, his eyes shining with desire. He then ripped her clothes in one move to uncover her pristine skin. Sect leader's desire spiked, panting like an animal. Flawless. Ah. Liener shrieked in tears, someone help me please. Girlie, this is the beast-taming sect, no one's ever going to save you. Sect leader cackled. Zhuofan? Liener struggled, calling for the person the swamp swallowed a few days ago. Even though she knew the call was in vain. But in her moment of greatest despair, she didn't call for her father or brother, but him. Sect leader laughed and mocked, dumb girl, the guy's dead. You've seen it yourself, so why call him? Or are you calling his ghost to save you? Ah. The others joined in his laughter. Yet Liener still cried out for Zhuofan, holding the last hope in this pit of despair. Unknown to anyone, the clear pond took on a black luster as it spread all over. Chapter 825, Second Soul. Chapter 825, Second Soul. Proofreader, Papatonks. Bubbles reached the surface as something dark spread through the clear water pond and gave it a black luster. Someone finally caught on to the peculiarity of the pond, crying, Sect leader, why did the pond turn black again? What? Sect leader lost his joy, staring at the water. A full moon is just above, so why the sudden change back? Did something happen this time to lead to such a change? Is the moonlight poor? He had no time to make sense of it as a black shadow jumped out on the banks, spreading beneath everyone's feet. Whoosh! The shadow rose above, trapping everyone in some sort of a barrier, unable to get out. It got so thick that even the moonlight couldn't pierce it. Everywhere they looked, they were met with more black. Sect leader cried out, is this a domain soul? Domain soul? We're a beast-taming sect, just who even comprehends such a soul? Everyone shook, looking around in panic. The domain soul was known as the strongest type. Once trapped inside, you were at the other's mercy. They were still trying to figure out who was its owner and how it got all of them. Does he want to destroy the beast-taming sect? Nah, can't be. With so many people around, the domain soul would be popped open with their efforts and give the owner a heavy wound. All that mattered now was to figure out the domain soul's nature. But in the end, no domain could actually trap so many of them for good. Holding the whimpering bell, sect leader lost his mood to pay her attention, looking around in panic. Who the hell is it that releases a domain soul in beast-taming sect? You have some nerve. Take it back right now and I'll write it off as a joke. Don't, and we'll be forced to take lethal actions. You're gonna pop my soul? What a show-off, ha ha ha. The cold voice came from everywhere. The familiar tone had everyone shaking in fear. How? Zhuofan? Liener and the other two guys were speechless. And no way. Zhuofan fell in the abyssal swamp. He's deader than dead. Sect leader shook his head, shouting his denial. Zhuofan also has the rare heaven dragon soul, not a domain soul. I don't care who you are, but don't think you can fool me. Come out now. The others nodded as well. You tell him, sect leader. Even if Zhuofan is alive, he has the heaven dragon soul. We saw it ourselves. How can it be a domain soul? Zhuofan's mockery came again. Ha, true, I do have the heaven dragon soul, but thanks to your kind gesture of kicking me in the abyssal swamp, I have formed my second soul. Now you're all within its bounds, the devouring domain. Second soul? Sect leader was stunned. There's no way a cultivator can have a second soul. You're not fooling anyone. I've been alive for so many years in the Western lands and not once heard such a baffling thing. That doesn't mean it ain't true. Didn't Danqing Shin get to have two as well? Having met him already, I then knew how to get two souls as well. But since you never heard of it, that just proves what an ignorant lout you are. Danqing Shin? Sect leader took 2 shaky steps back, his face dark. He'd never have taken Zhuofan's words about having a second soul seriously, but since Danqing Shin was involved, he had no choice. Danqing Shin was legendary in the Western lands. Anything could happen around him. Since he did it, then a freak like Zhuofan had a probable chance of doing it as well. Sect leader's face fell. you're really Fan. In the flesh. Humph, Fan, you are simply looking to die coming back again. Sect leader snickered, your domain soul was too strong for us to handle, but with just a domain soul out, humph. Even if the type is stronger than a beast soul, with so many souls in your domain, you'll die either way. If we charge right out, your domain soul will be pulverized or heavily wounded. Aha, Fan, you've miscalculated. Not all domain souls are stronger than a beast soul. Sect leader shouted, men, release your souls and scatter this damn domain. Yes, sir. Everyone followed his orders and gathered their souls. A horde of beasts thundered, releasing their devastating power and increasing their pressure inside the domain. Lianer and the other two were gasping in shock. With such a horde of mighty beasts, any domain would fall. Fan will. Lianer was tense, her hope of hearing Fan was back from the dead being shaken. Sect leader cackled, Fan, it's too late to take your domain back. Everyone attack. Roar. With a thunderous yell, a stampede formed as it charged at the Black Dome's peak, the weakest point in a domain soul. It could not resist an attack and would collapse. Sect leader shook in glee. Humph, Fan, I didn't kill you the first time, but I'll make sure you're finished now. A clanking sound echoed out before he got to gloat at his glorious achievement. The stampede stopped charging as if trapped by something. Sect leader cried out, what's happening? Why aren't you attacking? Sect leader, we don't know why, but we are lacking the strength to move, the elders panicked, as if our Yuan Qi and souls are out of our control. What? Sect leader's legs were shaking like jelly. A cultivator needed Yuan Qi and soul power to show their might. With both of them locked, that stopped one from being a cultivator altogether. Nothing more than a lamb to the slaughter. How can this be? Fan grinned as he floated, I formed the devouring domain inside the abyssal swamp, so of course it has its power. Didn't you say anyone would die once stuck in this quagmire? Haha, now all of you are in the same situation. The only difference is that this is worse. Everyone shook in fear and horror. The domain is the same as that weird swamp? Does that mean we're screwed? None caught in the swamp's sludge ever made it out alive. Beast taming sect leader. Fan's coy grin was plastered on his face, you're wrong about one thing. Demon transformation art said the condition to form a second soul was for it to be stronger than the first. So you tell me if the devouring domain is weaker than dragon soul. Haha, you've really underestimated me. Not that taking me seriously would have changed things. So be good and die already, demon transformation art. Whoosh. As Fan's voice traveled, black energy clutched around every beast-taming sect soul. Without their soul power and Yuan Qi, they had no chance of even resisting. Hold on, Fan, if there's anything. Sect leader begged while the elders howled. Fan just ignored him. The black energy wrapped around them all, turning them into black statues and snuffing out their pleas. With a sound, the devouring domain faded, along with the statues. The crescent pool once again appeared with the bright moon shining from above. Only this time, the beast-taming sect's higher-ups had now been devoured by Fan, boosting his power. Chapter 826, Nether Siege. Chapter 826, Nether Sea. Proofreader, Papatonks. The gentle moonlight fell on the clear pond as the pretty birds around it began to chirp in their beautiful voices. The previous rowdy area now became one of peace. In this scenery, Lianer and the other two were still there. When the blackness vanished and the moonlight shone on their dumb looks, the trio felt their hearts thump harder. They felt like they had survived hell and felt so much better for being alive. They were still looking stunned. Maybe it was the beauty around them, or they didn't want to disturb the mood. Crash. A sound came from the pond and the waters parted to reveal a man with defined muscles and traced by golden hues as scales began appearing on his skin. His long pitch-black hair danced in the wind like a black dragon. As he approached, his dark eyes absorbed anyone that dared look into them. Fan. Shaking, Lianer was teary. The utter despair she felt before was now replaced with joy upon seeing Fan's familiar face. She did not care about his unclothed disposition. Throwing herself in the arms of her savior and clutching tight to his manly chest, Fan, you're still alive. You scared me to death. Feeling warmth on his chest and the soft girl's body rubbing on him, Fan didn't even twitch a muscle. Miss Lianer, I understand you've been through hell, but can't you at least let me get some clothes first? What? Lianer trembled, now realizing her teary face was stuck to his warm chest, in direct contact. Looking up, she realized Zhuofan was buck naked. Ah! Lianer cried out and flicked her head away with a red face. What are you doing coming out naked? Glancing over, Zhuofan flicked his hand and clothes came out of his ring to change. My clothes dissolved in the swamp. And besides, changing inside the pool will get them wet. It seems to me you have a long way to go before using your head to not have figured this out. Pouting, Lianer snapped, Are you done changing? Yep. Whoosh. Lianer swished around and grumbled at him. Zhuofan felt baffled. What did I do this time? He sized Lianer up again, pointing at the evident ruined clothes on her chest. Now that I'm decent, shouldn't you look after yourself? Ah! Lianer shrieked and turned around, rushing to get her clothes fixed. She then looked back with a red face, only to see Zhuofan's teasing eyes. What are you grinning at? Don't look. It's not like I haven't seen it before. Zhuofan clicked his tongue and flew to the shore. Lianer's face was burning now, with even her ears red. She was taken back to when Zhuofan saved her life in Tianyu, when she was the one naked instead. A flood of emotions had her overwhelmed, but most of all feeling embarrassed. Ignoring the Missy's budding affection, Zhuofan looked at the other two. They were ecstatic for being saved in the nick of time, and also because Zhuofan was fine. The sixth prince was over the moon. Sir Zhuor is truly godlike, killing all those bastards in a blink. I can't thank you enough. Sixth prince immediately gave a deep bow. Please, you were after this as well. Zhuofan grinned and waved him off. Scratching his head, the sixth prince beamed. Sir Zhuor is so sharp. I knew I couldn't hide anything from Sir. When we return to the palace, I'll be sure to tell you all about it. I don't want to know. I didn't kill them for you anyway. They were just in my way. Zhuofan shook his head. Sixth prince bobbed his head, but Zhuofan's look made him hesitate. Sir Zhuo, how come your hair isn't white anymore? To keep my nose down, ha ha ha. Chuckling, Zhuofan brought a black strand to his eyes, only to shake his head. The white hair was due to the grief that once assaulted his heart. Maybe because demon transformation art and the swamp had combined that his hair was now raven, if not blacker. A kind of black that came from absorbing anything, even light. Maybe it was the result of his second soul, devouring domain, after swallowing everything. Regardless, it wouldn't matter much while being a lone operator. Being eternally away from any friends, the more he changed the better. Zhuofan flicked his hand and threw the hair behind before walking towards the pond. He was sure one of the 8 whirlwind tunnels was inside. That OL dragon sketch ain't so crummy after all. Let's set up the drawing array and get it over with. Ah, what is that? Lianer cried while pointing at the pond. Everyone looked over and shook. In the pond appeared huge and strange things. Each of them was thousands of meters wide and bore savage looks. But the pond was akin to a mirror, as each creature minded its own business, not even registering they were there. This, however, did not stop their power from shaking their core. These things weren't mere spiritual beasts. Tuoba Lufeng was grave. What are those things? It'd be a disaster if they come out. Nether Sea. Zhuofan's eyes flashed. The others looked at him cluelessly. Zhuofan did not offer any explanation. The Nether Sea was the biggest ruthless area in the sacred domain. Not even a saint would tread inside it. Scores of 12th grade aquatic spiritual beasts roamed it, while the entire sea was covered in a dark air. It was a place of extreme ease. Anyone's power would drop sharply there. This whirlwind tunnel connected the Nether Sea, which explained the weirdness of this swamp. Affected by the Nether Sea, it changed in a bizarre way. The creatures inside the pond were not really monsters living within it, but what the light of the moon reflected on its surface due to the thick een that had gathered, allowing a glimpse into the Nether Sea. With that settled, Zhuofan started waving his hands around, sending sacred stones all over the pond, disturbing its surface. The trio was afraid of disturbing him. 3 hours later, Zhuofan had enough of throwing stones around and made a sign, shouting, Moon Spirit, seal this field of flowers, draw onto the mortal domain until the mountain forms, to break the heavens. A spatial ripple passed and the clear pond shook as if the space warped. But then it stilled again like nothing happened. What they saw was the same field of flowers spreading everywhere. Sixth Prince was curious, Sir Zhuo, what about the pond? I sealed it. Zhuofan entered the field of flowers and no longer sank like last time. The abyssal swamp was no more. I sealed this place so there won't be any more swamp, nor will it open under the moonlight. Sixth prince nodded. Is this Sir Zhua's aim? Yep. Zhua Fan's eyes shone, then left. I'm done here, so I'm leaving. Since you've helped me along the way, I'll return the favor to be fair and square. A bloody glow flashed from Zhua Fan and the Dao blood aura came out again. It flew high in the sky and vanished, but then wailing was heard from everywhere. Lianer asked, "What's that?" "Beast-taming sect's higher-ups are dead, which leaves the disciples. Since you won't be able to handle them, I'll do it for you." Zhua Fan's eyes shone coldly. Lianer shuddered, realizing Zhua Fan was destroying the entire sect. The sixth prince was overjoyed, bowing at once in tears of gratitude. "Thanks you, Sir Zhua, for all you've done. Chuanrong will never forget this." Chapter 827, Chuanrong's Matters. Chapter 827, Chuanrong's Matters. Proofreader, Papatonks. Commander Tauba, are your aides gone? Behind Chuanrong's palace, the forlorn emperor sat on a rock as he sighed. Tuoba Taizhan nodded heavily at the side. "Your Majesty, I'm aware of the gravity of this matter to take such measures, going as far as sending away the people I trusted for decades. Regardless, I still need to know just what is going on. Old Commander, there's no harm in telling you now that you're in this mess." Looking at the moon, the emperor took a deep breath and began, "Oh, the disgrace, the Chuanrong's greatest humiliation. For so many years in this palace." Whoosh. His words got cut off as a figure came out of the dark cave, soon followed by 3 more. The emperor was startled and cried out, "Why you weren't found out?" The trio looked at each other and shook their heads. More like this big shot here was strutting inside out of fear of not being found out. Zhua Fan scratched his head. Sixth prince chuckled and bowed, "Imperial father, they found us the second we got in and that led to a long fight." "Then why?" The emperor was in disbelief. "You were found out and fought, yet still got out? What's going on here? Since when was the beast-taming sect so weak?" He had been waiting here for the beast-taming sect to come for revenge to kill him. Now he found out that none came, instead greeted by the people who should, by all accounts, be dead instead. Even the emperor found it hard to cope with such facts. Sixth prince laughed, "Imperial father, Sir Zhua's power is unmatched. He has gotten rid of all the bastards making the beast-taming sect." "All of them?" The emperor and Tuoba Taizhan blinked in shock. "It." The sixth prince's eyes shone with joy. "Imperial father, Sir Zhua has purged the world of the beast-taming sect. We will no longer suffer at those bastards' hands." Shaking all over, the emperor and Tuoba Taizhan stared at Zhua Fan like he grew a second head. One guy destroyed a sect? Is that possible? "Son, is this true?" The emperor was still in denial, but hope began to blossom. Lianer and the other 2 smiled. She took a step forward and bowed. "Your Majesty, sixth prince is correct. He was so ruthless as to remove all the disciples as well. Not one survived." Lianer complained, but her words sounded pleased, like Zhua Fan did her a favor. Giving Zhua Fan another long look, the emperor became grave. "Son, come here." The emperor grabbed him and threw himself at Zhua Fan's feet. "I'm but Ha Li Chai, Chuanrong Emperor. I am immensely grateful for saving Chuanrong of this calamity. We shall never forget this." Tuoba Taizhan and the rest were in shock at his display. "Your Majesty, you can't do this. You're the lord of our nation." "Some lord I am. Without Sir Zhua, I would have still been a figurehead even now." The emperor rose and showed a bitter smile. "Commander Tauba, didn't you want to know how hard it has been? It is the greatest shame and humiliation for Chuanrong and the imperial family." The emperor looked at the sixth prince. "Son, you know as well, don't you?" "I know everything, even how my mother died." Desolate, the sixth prince sighed, looking at Zhua Fan with gratitude. "Sir Zhua, all these years Chuanrong's palace had been nothing more than a place for the beast-taming sect's elders to vent their lust." "What?" Tuoba Lufeng cried out with the others. Only Zhua Fan had guessed it and was calm. "Since the tunnel was located near the imperial harem, it has nothing to do with politics. Then there's that woman you killed in tunnel. She's the emperor's concubine." Eyes flashing with murder, sixth prince gnashed his teeth. In the entire Western lands, the guardian sects don't involve themselves in a nation's politics, except beast-taming sect. Being just 10 miles from the imperial capital, it held Chuanrong in a tight grip. This was the usual practice in the past. Only later they went even further, cutting a tunnel to the imperial harem to indulge. The emperor nodded. This tunnel has been around for centuries, throwing the harem in chaos. Every emperor was aware of this, but none could expose beast-taming sect's debauchery. All the girls of the palace would be taken in by force by those elders. Any that refused still would be dealt a savage blow. In face of such a situation, many women compromised. But some who were loyal, like the sixth prince's mother, chose death instead. They had come begging for help, only for them to turn a deaf ear and play the inept ruler. The emperor shook his head with teary eyes. Tuoba Taizhan clenched his fists in anger. The ruler of a nation couldn't even protect his women. It was a national disgrace. Commander Tauba's fury hadn't subsided as sixth prince continued, but then it got worse. These rotten bastards plotted against Chuanrong's leadership. Many of Imperial Father's sons, including Crown Prince, aren't even his. What? Outraged, Tuoba Taizhan shook. Does that mean they wanted to affect the imperial family's bloodline? The emperor was filled with hatred. Yes, with the backing in the shadows, they planned on taking control of Chuanrong from me. Especially that Crown Prince, appointed as the next emperor by the beast-taming sect's sect leader himself. No matter how I saw it, he was his son. Humph, woe is me, the great emperor of Chuanrong, reduced to passing the throne to someone other than my son. This is absurd. A secluded sect wants imperial power? What empire in Western lands would ever want to have them as support then? You have to report this to Double Dragon Manor at once. How can we bow down? Bam. Tuoba Taizhan punched a nearby rock to dust as he cursed. The emperor and sixth prince sighed. Commander Tauba, you're too naive. There's no such thing as good and evil in this world. Righteousness is nothing more than a rule to enslave mortals. Seeing their downcast looks, Tuoba Taizhan was startled. Zhuofan nodded. Commander Tauba, if the emperor had told Double Dragon Manor, would they purge beast-taming sect? Zhuofan asked Tuoba Taizhan. Tuoba Taizhan paused, then shook his head. The 9 sects of Western lands are its main power. Taking one out meant crippling themselves. Double Dragon Manor would never do this. Exactly. As long as beast-taming sect exists, a few years later this news would die down. But would you, a third-rate nation, was able to bear their revenge? Tuoba Taizhan turned grave and sighed. Zhuofan laughed at the sky. I can now understand somewhat the feeling Danqing Shen had when he stomped on the 9 sections. Western lands is nothing more than a tranquil hell. Order and righteousness are nothing more than filthy excuses. There are some things only demonic cultivators can do. Evil begets more evil, haha. Sixth Prince, this is what you had in mind when you took me to Crown Prince and then the Imperial Palace? Zhuofan laughed, eyeing him. Though I've been searching all the time even without clues, I'm still willing to bet you'd take me here. Also I would clash with the beast-taming sect. I would never. The sixth prince rushed to bow. I know Serge's style more than anyone, hating being used. I never ever dreamed of using you either, no matter how much I wanted to when we met. Seeing Sir's display at Double Dragon Gathering, I knew your character and that you wouldn't stand for these hypocritical bastards. All I entertained was a thread of hope that Sir would help free Chuanrong of their suffering. I would have been happy even if I only helped Sir to find what you sought. You must believe me that I'm just a fanboy. Looking him dead in the eye, Zhuofan nodded. I know. I've been testing you all the way here. Even when you were excited, you still didn't try to shift my decisions. This was good enough. Chapter 828, Closure. Chapter 828, Closure. Proofreader, Papatonks. The sixth prince's eyes lit up and beamed. Zhuofan chuckled, turning to leave. Well then, it's time for me to leave. Take care. You're just going to leave? Lianer cried out. The sixth prince was also taken aback. Hold on, sir. After destroying the beast-taming sect, you'll have a hard time moving through Western lands. It's fine. Western lands has no way of restricting a dead man. Zhuofan spoke. Moreover, after paying them a visit, I will leave Western lands for good. Why you're even leaving the Western lands? Where will you go? Lianer looked with deep longing, hearing that he would be gone to who knows where. Zhuofan shook his head. Anywhere I can in this vast world, ha. Zhuofan jumped and flew away out of sight. Sixth prince jumped to his feet and shouted, Sir Zhua, I'm your fan. Won't you learn my name? Say it. A faint voice came from the night sky. Zhuaer. Haha, you have my family name. I'll remember that. That's not it. My entire name is Hulul Shuridi Asti Zhuar. You can't forget it. A pensive silence fell over the world before an irate voice snapped, "The hell I will." The others smiled. Sir Jouer is such a blunt guy. Only Lienor sighed in desolation. Commander Tauba. Tuoba Taizhan looked back to see the emperor looking at him with a stone-cold face. "Commander Tauba, you are henceforth reinstated as the head of the Chuanrong army, its commander. Gather all the city guards and sweep the imperial capital clean of anyone related to the beast-taming sect, including those concubines. The empress, the princess, all of them are to be put down. Don't let any of them escape. Even with Sir Jouer destroying all of the beast-taming sect, there are still many of them waging war at the border with Tianyu. Do this without letting any of them catch wind of this and come back for revenge." Tuoba Taizhan shook and ventured, "Your Majesty, all of them? There's just too many people?" "Every single one." The emperor spoke with an edge to his tone. "I've had enough of these bastards over the past years. It's time for their penance. No one shall steal Chuanrong from me, ha ha ha." The Tauba brothers glanced at the crazed emperor in fear. He was meek before beast-taming sect, he was miserable before Zhuofan, but now, His Majesty got hold of his power and his actions were swift and cruel in getting rid of any vestige the beast-taming sect had on this earth. By comparison, Zhuofan was blunt and determined, although seeing himself as the bad guy. Lienor looked at the sky with longing. Tuoba Taizhan bowed and carried out his order. Zhuofan was somewhat far from here, but he still heard the man clearly, having entered the ethereal stage. Humans, they need but a thought to become saints or demons. No one is better than the next. They all turn demonic once they grasp power. This was the way the world worked. The nobles oppressed the people, who had the emperors oppressing them, who had the sects breathing down their necks, with finally the very top experts coming down on the sections. As for those experts, they were at their turn at the whims of the world's laws, unable to break from them. One must constantly improve, grow stronger and stronger if they hope to shed their shackles, even above the entire world. Zhuofan had gleaned into the way the 10 ancient sovereigns were thinking. They did not want to be under anyone either. Smirking, Zhuofan flashed out of there. 3 months later, in an open field of sand, military tents were arranged in perfect order, with no end in sight. In their center lay the biggest tent, the one that also released the strongest aura. "The war has been going for 6 months now without bearing any result. We've lost scores of good men and sent out a jade slip for aid, but help is late to arrive. We can no longer fight." An old man with a twirled beard looked at his men with a sigh. The others sighed as well. "In the previous wars, as long as Chuanrong's warriors fought, we'd still make some headway, since the strongest in these wars would be in the radiant stage and the common people could still handle. But with Tianyu growing so fast, they just sent ethereal stage experts on the battlefield, forcing us to send our own to withstand the pressure. But this is no war. It's now been reduced to showing off one's power. It's more apt to call it a war between sects than nations." "Who said it isn't? Do any of you think Tianyu's 3 guardian sects didn't send anyone, that they're all Tianyu's men?" One elder spoke. The others shook their heads. Ever since the Luo alliance formed in Tianyu, its power grew close to that of a sect. They may as well be a 10th sect in Western lands in the future. Yeah. Tianyu is just too strong for a mere empire." All the officials here nodded their heads as they discussed among themselves. A shout came from beyond the tent, "Imperial Capital's jade slip has arrived." The Imperial Capital's response is here. Did reinforcements come? Perking up, the top elder laughed as he hurriedly said, "Give me the jade slip." "Yes, sir." A soldier bowed and walked in to give the jade slip. The elder snatched it in joy, but then froze. The others were curious. "Old man, what's up? What does it say? Did the sect leader send curses for being useless and that no men are coming?" "If only." The elder's shoulders shook, putting on the most heart-wrenching expression he could. "It's Chuanrong Emperor's jade slip. He said that 3 months ago, some power infiltrated the nation and wreaked havoc in the imperial capital. To make it worse, it destroyed the beast-taming sect. We're homeless." "What?" Everyone looked stumped. While they were fighting here with their lives on the line, their home was getting pillaged. "What the hell? It must be Tianyu. They must have sent someone to attack our backs. I'm going to kill them." "Is it really them though? The sect is stronger than just the few we have here, and it has a defensive array as well. Tianyu would have long since killed us if it could destroy our sect. What kind of an idiot would drag this useless war on instead?" "Oh right. True. Everyone pondered, but the same guy just wouldn't give up. Then who else could destroy our sect? Demon scheming sect. Another man shouted, think about it. Demon scheming sect is guarding Chanyu, yet suddenly gives us 1,000 sacred stones to attack it. This is clearly a trap. We never saw through their intentions, but now we know. It's cutting off our escape. Blast it. I'll kill them all. Someone jumped to his feet, about to march to demon scheming sect. Another one cursed, cut the crap with the sect gone, we alone are nothing. Are you suicidal to get revenge like this? What else are we supposed to do? Go to Double Dragon Manor. We'll have them take revenge for us. The Exalted will settle it. The others nodded, having met consensus. So, the Chuanrong's army withdrew. Across from Chuanrong's camp, Luo Yunhai and Elder Li were discussing their plans when a report came. Marshal, Chuanrong is retreating. They're all leaving. They're leaving? Luo Yunhai looked at him with a dumb look. Why? Just yesterday they pushed hard at us with their spiritual beast army. We only managed to hold thanks to the sacred stone array. But that still didn't give us any advantage? Why the sudden withdrawal? Lung Wuchang spoke, maybe the cost was too much. Since nothing worked, they wasted too many resources and men. Or maybe something happened back home to their leaders. Lung Wuchang's eyes flashed. Guards, scout Chuanrong at once. Just what happened? Yes, sir. A man bowed and left swiftly. Luo Yunhai sighed, much relaxed now. This war took 6 months, but it's finally over. Demon scheming sect wanted to wear down our will to fight, but now that the enemy withdrew their troops, everything is ruined. It's like Brother Zhuo is watching us from beyond. Clan head, you shouldn't give Steward Zhuo's spirit all the credit. Lung Wuchang scratched his head. Eyeing him, Luo Yunhai said, Sister said that one should respect immortals. We also should respect the Luo clan's ancestor and Brother Zhuo just the same. That's just superstition. If Steward Zhuo is up there somewhere, he should just get rid of the demon scheming sect and do us a solid. Don't you agree, clan head? Lung Wuchang glanced at Lung Wuchang, then shook his head. Sir Lung, haha. Chapter 829, Back to Demon Scheming Sect. Chapter 829, Back to Demon Scheming Sect. Proofreader, Papatonks. Before a magnificent and lush forest stood a man. He was all black, including his hair and those deep black eyes. The biting wind traced his face. Zhuo Fan was at the entrance of the demon scheming sect. His mind made on leaving Western lands. Now that he set up the array, he still felt like paying his old friends one last visit. The first on the list was his esteemed master, who said a demonic cultivator didn't value his master. He might just be the only one he'd bid farewell in person. Regarding Luo Yunhai and the rest, he'd settle for watching them from afar before leaving. He made a sign, and despite all the warping space, it just settled down soon after. Did the method to open it change? Frowning, Zhuo Fan muttered, while that may be when there's a traitor among the sect, to stop them from returning, by all accounts they should think I'm dead. Does this mean this was set by another? Zhuo Fan was pensive, then shook his head. Whatever, after saying goodbye to Elder Yuan, none of it would matter. You might have closed the door, but I have another way in, humph. Zhuo Fan made a different gesture. It was something Elder Yuan taught him when he became the new sect leader. Only he could use it. As long as the sect's defensive array didn't change, this method would remain. With how utterly expensive and time-consuming it was to change it completely, no sane sect would ever do that. Zhuo Fan had no trouble opening it this time, seeing as how a path opened up. Grinning, Zhuo Fan walked right in. He could have used the black flame too, but he went for subtlety this time around. Whoosh. Zhuo Fan moved from hiding to hiding, searching the demon scheming sect for Elder Yuan, yet there was no sign of him even in High Venerable's secluded room. What baffled him was that the demon scheming sect was no longer as lively as before. There was not one familiar face in sight, no Venerable Bai, no laborer. Frowning, Zhuo Fan's heart sank with unease. After Yi Lin brought him to Ultimate Clarity sect, he was stuck in the infernal gorge with the dragon ancestor. Yi Lin had told him of the outside state, but the demon scheming sect wasn't included in the news. Now that he was here, something was off about this place. Did you hear? The beast-taming sect withdrew from the battle without so much as a word. Those damn fools in Chanyu have gotten away again. Didn't we give those bastards 1,000 sacred stones already? They even said they'd root out the clan from Chanyu, so why are they suddenly backing down? I just knew we couldn't trust those fools who only know to hang around beasts. Sect leader Xie and Venerable Shi are going to be pissed. Isn't he already? I just heard sect leader's roar coming from the main hall. Well, he did spend 1,000 sacred stones. You think we'd have asked them if we couldn't do it ourselves? To avoid a repeat of last time with heaven trailing sect messing it all up, sect leader gave those guys plenty of stuff. At this rate, all the winnings Zhuofan got us will soon be used up. What? Just how many is it this time? 2 people were grumbling while passing by Zhuofan's hiding place. They were inner sect elders. Squinting, Zhuofan checked his surroundings and then shot for the 2. Whoosh! They had no chance when the shadow descended upon them, clutching their throats and sealing their yuan qi before leaving the place. They looked around confused when they suddenly slumped on the ground, only to find themselves on the mountain behind the sect. The 2 cried out, "Who dares attack the demon-scheming sect? We're its elders." I know. Walking closer, the sunlight shone over Zhuofan. Why else do you think I grabbed you? Remember me? The 2's eyes got used to the glaring sun and were then rooted in shock. Zhuofan? Aren't you dead? Haha, I figured as much. You did have something to do with those bastards from Universal Righteous Sect. Zhuofan shook his head, but I'm from the demon-scheming sect and the sect leader at that. As long as you're not behind it, I am willing to let the elders of my sect go, ha. Shaking all over, the 2 bobbed their heads, pleading. Sect leader Zhua, this had nothing to do with us. It's all Venerable Shi and Xie Wu's plot. I know. Zhuofan waved them off in annoyance. I don't care about that. What I want to know. Zhuofan's eyes hardened. Where is High Venerable and Venerable Bai with the rest? Where are the laborers? The 2 shivered, lowering their heads. Zhuofan's heart sank, putting on a savage smile. I see, since you don't see me as a sect leader, then you're no elders to me. I should get rid of traitors like you. Zhuofan raised his hand, gushing black smoke. Wait please, sect leader Zhua. We've always seen you as our sect leader. The 2 panicked. Then why don't you answer? Are you defying my orders? Whoosh! Zhuofan's aura exploded with bloodthirst, making the 2 elders feel chilled to the bone. The 2 bowed once again and begged, Sect leader Zhua, please, we won't hide anything from you. Please spare us, sect leader. The 2 then spilled everything that had happened. Zhuofan's brow shook, hatred building in his eyes. He thought the Universal Righteous Sect attack was only to deal with him, but that piece of garbage Xie Wuyue even struck High Venerable before removing any that was tied with him in the sect. As far as going after the Luo clan who rescued the stragglers, using beast-taming sect to do it. Sect leader Zhua, it's all Venerable Shi and Xie Wuyue's fault. We didn't do anything, we just followed orders. The 2 begged in tears. Zhuofan clenched his fists with bloodshot eyes. The most respected elder in the mortal domain, the only one who he took as his master, was now dead, before he could even say goodbye. Curse you, Xie Wuyue. Zhuofan's eyes were filled with bloodthirst. He flicked his hand and had the 2 wrapped in black smoke. The 2 shouted, Sect leader Zhua, spare us. We'll remove the traitors with you. Please let us go. We're also elders of the demon-scheming sect. As a sect leader, you have to let us live. Screw being a sect leader. Zhuofan cursed. I became sect leader only because Elder Yuan asked. Now that he's gone, I'd be a moron to become one for you fools. You really think I'd let you live after killing my people with Xie Wuyue? Demon transformation art. The 2 howled as the black smoke enveloped them. Their pain and grief was laid bare until the very end. Once the black smoke scattered, dust fell in the wind. Zhuofan flicked his hand. He was out for blood, his bloodthirst increasing as he marched for the main hall. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.